Here we go. What's up, guys? Okay. Alright.
Fortnite fam, man, I missed y'all so much. It is great to be back. Here we are, major number 3, the last stop before the global championship. Man, it is crazy to think we are almost at the end. It feels like we kind of just got started, but here we are, major number 3, that last chance for many trios to secure that spot to the global championship. And it is stressful to say the least, but there's 2 people that I know that can keep my nerves nice and calm, nice and chill. It's Kelly Link, it's Vivid, my friends. Major number 3, we're about to kick things off. How are you guys feeling?
I'm good. I'm so excited. You know, it feels like the year just started, but I also can't believe that we're already at Major 3 and going to be rounding out the teams that are going to go to Global Championships. It's a bit of a mixed feeling. I'm so excited to get the Global Championships, but I'm also sad that the FNCS is almost over.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? Everybody says time flies when you're having fun. Well, time goes pretty slow when there's no FNCS around. It's been like, what, 3-4 months since major number 2. Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that we've been living without FNCS for that long. But major number 3, Zeke, there is a lot to talk about.
That's right, man. Why don't we take a look back at kind of what got us to this point? We had this nice little roadmap for you guys. As you remember, majors 1 and 2 we wrapped up, and then recently we took to the Pro-Am. It was super awesome, and now here we are, just one major away from the global championship in Lyon, France. Oh my gosh, I'm going to France, Mom. It's gonna be a great time. Man, I think the thing that is like sticking with me the most is in major number 2, obviously we had 3 spots going to the global championship. Now we only have 2. So where the floodgates were open last major, they are that much scarier coming into this. I don't even know what to make of that, Kelly.
I'm sad that you didn't say the Foxy floodgates have opened, but regardless, yeah, Pollo, Ager's Acorn taking away major number 1 with Peterbot's Trio also joining them for that ticket. And then we had 3 other huge teams join for major 2, which was Clix' Trio, Reeds, and Visuals. But now we still have so many big names that want to fill out this screen right here, major 3 qualified trios. And with only 2 spots available, Vivid, it is do or die right now. Everyone is going to be pulling out whatever they can to make sure they get those coveted spots.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary, right? We were talking about a last major. It's like you really want to qualify during major number 2. I mean, the most spots being available. And then if you don't qualify, you're going to have to go to that last chance in major number 3. But then it's like, oh, well, our last chance to qualify for globals also has only 2 spots available. Just super, super competitive.
And before they can even get into the Global Championships, they got to get to the Grand Finals. And let's talk about how these trios are going to be getting into the Grand Finals in case you were just watching for the first time. 1, hello, welcome to the FNCS. We've already had the play-in stages where we found our top 99 trios that have made their way into the group stages where they split into 3 separate groups. From here, that's what we're going to be watching today. And you're going to be watching out for 10 teams. For each team that gets a victory royale over the 5 games today, they automatically make their way into the major finals, and they will no longer be playing in the games left. By the end of the day, the top 5 teams from placement will also be joining those other 5 trios. But Vivid, there's still one more opportunity for trios to make their way into the grand finals.
Yeah, that last chance qualifier of groups 1, 2, or 3 don't work out for you. We'll see you then.
We don't want to take it that far though, right? We want to try and secure that spot here and now if possible, but maybe you haven't been playing Fortnite. You're not sure what's going on. Maybe this is your first time. Hi, it's great to have you here. Let's talk about the meta. What can our viewers expect to see, guys? I mean, there's brand new POIs. There's a new loophole. There's medallions. There's boons. There's a hero rank. But many of these trios, Kelly, have their eyes set on Demon's Domain.
Oh, and not just a lot of trios. The 2 big trios for North American Central. Of course, I'm talking about Peterbot versus Pollo. What a story these 2 trios have had. And it all coalesces to this POI right here. Typically, in the FNCS, a team will ego out another team. But when the 2 biggest teams in the region ego each other, well, it looks like they're going to be staying here in Demon's Domain. And there's no confusion as to why. It is that medallion. And then, of course, the Mythic Enhanced Sniper Rifle as well, Vivid.
Yeah, the 2 best teams in the region always going to want to go for the best loot. The medallion's so good, right? Being able to regen you up to 50 shield, kind of replacing the minis, kind of freeing up an inventory slot. And we've talked about it plenty of times before. We all know how valuable some of those inventory slots are. But there's actually another medallion on the island that is kind of worth going for, that Rift Island that's going to be spawning. Fighting the boss up there is going to net you some weapons as well, but then the medallion that kind of allows you to not only go invisible, but also when you come out of a sprint jump, you're going to go a little bit further, right? And oh my gosh, giving that ability to some of our pro players who love to play aggressive. I'm looking at players like Peterbot, players like Pollo, right? It is scary.
I mean, it's very apropos that the boss's name is Core because this medallion is very core to our top teams right now. The solo clutches that come out of this medallion, and I know I'm skipping the mid game right now. The in-game solo clutches that I've seen with this medallion is just so exciting to watch. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of encompassed what this whole season's been about. It's just exciting. These end games are so different than what we've had throughout the year.
Okay, I like that. You're highlighting the end game. Why don't we take it back to the beginning, the mid game? Let's talk about this brand new economy, right? The hero ranks. We're starting at C. We're trying to make it all the way up to S, but like, why are we doing this? What's the purpose of that?
Well, you have all these beautiful hero caches throughout the map that give you all these incredible loots. Obviously, starting from C, it's going to be the lower tier loot, but then going all the way up to S, you can get some incredible items, including the hero items as well. And it's quite easy actually going up from C all the way to S. There's various things you can do throughout the map to be able to increase your hero rank to be able to unlock these caches, much like the sprite shines right here.
Yeah, and I've always kind of loved to look at Fortnite competitive as a game of time investment, right? In these hero ranks, kind of having this list of tasks you can do or quote unquote invest time into, and then at the end of it being able to reward some of that time that you spent with loot. Love stuff like that around the map.
You know what else I love, Vivid? It's mobility. Guys, there is so much, you too. There is so much mobility in this season. I mean, do you guys remember Grim Gay? You guys remember being able to dash? We are back at that again, but this time from a little sprite with a little mask. Who is he? Someday I hope to find out.
Yeah, the sprite dash that we have right here. What I really like about this item and that is kind of missing from a lot of the other items in the game is that it's actually an AoE item. So it's just one person has to hold it, but then everyone in the trio is able to actually get the benefit of those dashes, similar to the Grimgate, like you said. But my favorite item, Vivid, is definitely the Surf Cube. What we've seen from these aggressive W key players in the early to mid game with that the Surf Cube is absolutely devastating.
Yeah, of course, Surf could be very, very good, but I can almost guarantee you all of our trios, all of our players today will easily replace that item with the Mist form if they can go ahead and find it. And if you can get 3 of these on a trio, it makes your rotates just that much easier, right? Go ahead and turn into a bird, fly to wherever you think you should place yourself in the next zone. But it's like, oh, well, let's think about Fortnite competitive. Usually when you make those rotates with some of these mobility items, you take so much damage. Not this time around, because it's going to make it so that way you actually cannot take damage, which just creates so many incredible moments.
Meta defining. I cannot wait to see the Mist form in action. And when I talk about meta defining, there's also 2 names I have to kind of pair with that. It's Monster D-Face, it's Jacob PR. They're your casters.
That's right, we got a lot to look forward to this season. The hero ranks really shaping up a whole new dynamic for Fortnite right now. And then this loot pool, nothing like we've seen this year.
Yeah, everything's kind of been shaken up this season around, even including some of our teams. A lot of our top teams might have stayed the same, but we have a huge mix-up as you continue to go down that roster list, even in today's group stages. And so you kind of look at teams like Acorn, Agers, Poyo. When are they going to qualify? Is it a game win? Is it consistency? But I'm looking at some of those underdogs, Monster. When are they going to finally punch their ticket to finals?
It's going to be tough, right? We're talking about a season essentially that we've had limited set lobby opportunities, right? If you weren't out there really putting your nose into the scrim scene, then you will be coming out the gate struggling here. So we'll see who's been putting in that work here as we're starting to look up and gear up here for just the first group stages. I mean, but it's obvious, Jacob, we got a couple favorites, like you mentioned, Acorn, of course. And you know, again, it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, it definitely is. When you kind of look at those big game-winning teams, I'm also looking at the consistency. Oliver OG, history has it on his side. Power, Blue Zonda, I got to think they got it as well. But there's so many more teams to break down. Zeke, let us know what those teams are.
Incredibly insightful, and I agree, right? In case you maybe didn't know, we're playing for one of 2 things. Either a victory royale, which means, hey, you're good, you don't have to play anymore, next time we'll see you is in the grand finals, or through consistency. That's what Jacob was talking about, right? So if we end the day in the top 5, we're making it through as well. Now let's bring up our lobby list. Who are we seeing here in group number 1? There's a lot of big names, and of course, little Timmy, look at the top left of your screen. Agers, Acorn, and Poyo, yes, they are competing here in group number 1. Guys, I mean, I feel like we should and can and once again should expect these guys to get a victory out, right? I mean, it's Poyo.
Yeah, 100%. You know, potentially uncontested over in Demon's domain, but with these group stages, you never really know. And honestly, I always say that half of esports is the story, and who has a better story than Poyo, Acorn, and Agers? Both Poyo and Acorn being dropped by their duo mates at the end of last year, joining together, and when a lot of people kind of wrote them out, they go off and win Major 1. But then Major 2, a little bit of a step back, getting 5th place, which otherwise is absolutely phenomenal. But from this trio, a little bit surprising. But we've seen this climb up from Poyo. In the play-ins, he got 165 eliminations just by himself. This is a trio that everyone is looking to not just walk away with a win today, but Vivid to potentially walk away in 1st place for Major 3.
I mean, you're saying that everybody's kind of looking towards them. I'm wondering what this trio is looking forward to doing this major, right? Are they actually going to be going for that win right now? Are they kind of shifting their focus towards like the early game, right? And winning that early game engagement that you're kind of talking about, going up against Peter Botch trio, of course. Is that going to make it that much harder for them to kind of win? Are they kind of looking towards globals to kind of make sure they have an uncontested spot there? Who knows? But I can almost guarantee you today their focus will definitely be winning a game.
Man, I cannot wait. I'm sure we will see both of those trios in the grand finals. But first, I want to talk about another trio. Let's bring that live list back up once more. Center of your screen, Taki, Isho, and Vert. Now, obviously, like if you've been following the scene, you've heard the name Vert before. But what about Taki? What about Isho? How has this trio been performing up to this point?
I mean, they've honestly actually been performing quite well for a new trio. Vert going all the way back to 2019, even winning an FNCS 2020 solo championships for NA West. You know, he's been a player for such a long time, now joined by Taki and Isho, relatively newer players. And since they've been joining up together, they've had some pretty good performances. 10th place in the last FNCS finals. And also big shout outs to two of the players here recently signed by Soren Organization. And clearly after the performances that we've seen from them in the play-ins and just this season in general, I can understand why organizations are kind of turning their focus onto them. They have such great aggression early and mid-game, and honestly, I'm a little bit surprised about how aggressive they are, but it seems to be working out for them, being able to take down some pretty big teams recently.
Yeah, I mean, what a first showing, right? Making it to your first FNCS finals and then getting 10th place. There is so much to build on for that trio right there. I'm sure they're going to go ahead and make it in the grand finals today. I'm excited to see what they do there.
Oh my gosh, man. There's just so many names. There's just so many names. And, you know, if you maybe didn't have a chance to watch EU earlier, you already know that this competition is crazy. And again, I'm just going to continue to stress this until like the final day of grand finals. Okay, this is the last chance. Okay, we need to make it to grand finals to try and secure a spot going to the global championship. However, one last trio to talk to you guys about as we bring up that live list one final time. And we take a look at page number 2. There's a trio on this second page that has not secured themselves a spot. And if they don't, I'm not going to globals. Okay, it's Bugha, it's Threats, it's crazy. Come on, man. Is it even globals without Bugha, Kelly? Is it even gonna be globals?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question, Zeke, and hopefully we find themselves in our top 5 list, and we've seen them quite close already. Bugha and Threats have had some pretty good performances in Major 1 and Major 2, but just not close enough to be able to clutch out that global championship spot. Now joined, or I should say rejoined by Craze. They've had some pretty good performances so far, even taking down the likes of Poyo's trio during mid-game fights that we saw during the play-ins. They clearly have the aggression. They have a great drop spot landing over in Utopia City uncontested. We've already seen that they have some good placements throughout the Div Cups, but is that going to be enough for the grand finals?
I mean, Bugha himself made it to 25 total FNCS finals, only ever missing out on one, trailing Kanata in that regard, right? He just consistently makes these finals. I'd be not surprised at all. In fact, I'll go ahead and say it's probably about a 99.9% chance that they go ahead and make it into the finals.
Why would you say that? Why would you curse them?
Because you know
what?
you have
That's
to.
not my script.
Make
says
it
that they're in the
spicy.
finals. So I'm going to stick to the script that I wrote. Guys, we're getting closer here to starting off the competition. I was kind of curious to get your thoughts. So obviously, again, this being that final chance to qualify, less spots through at grand finals. How do you guys feel that like where the players' headspace at, right? Like there's been pressure before, but like now it's got to be more than ever.
I think due to the nature of these group stages and how players can win, whether that's victory royales or placements, I think that we're going to see a potential heal off in games. And I mean, Vivid, I think that's something that we've kind of been seeing over the last few weeks.
I think just over the course of the day, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. This specific lobby has never happened before, so these teams are going to have to kind of learn in game number 1 what's going on around them and use it in the games following.
Adapt, adapt, adapt. Let's get into it, Fortnite fam. The competition kicks off right now.
We are here, Monster, at the precipice of game 1 of these group stages, FNCS Major 3. And one thing I gotta really talk about and shine is there's 13 teams, even more so players that are looking for their first grand finals. Game 1 starts now. Let's get into it. And this is where the story begins for some of those teams. Some of those players, Monster, over 13 of them are looking to punch their ticket to the grand finals, continue their journey, and start what could be the birth of a new star player on the region.
Has to be, right? And again, very limited set lobby opportunities all season long. You know, these are their, for some, first chances to really go toe-to-toe at a bulk of these draw spots. We saw early glimpses of what little areas will be contested. Most of those opportunities taking place or center map and leaning a little bit north to the west sides. Here, of course, we have a Flood of Frogs fight. Over on the opposite side, you got Liam already taking his kind of battle head-to-head with the opposite trio here, and they haven't gotten shields really to work with. There it is. I was going to say, what are they waiting for? But, of course, have to gather together for those slurp kegs, and now it's game time.
You say a quick stat, 55, over half of the lobby, Monster. And Resistance Base is one of those spots contested. It's not easy to get an advantage. There's a lot of places to sneak around, a lot of nooks and crannies to hide. And Boogeyman quick, they are missing about some HP, but Liam's going to be the first one to go down in the entire fight. This is not the way you want to start your game one.
Gotta be careful. That Twin Spire packs a big punch, big damage. You see it now, though. Players jumping into the box. Pay 14, finding his tags, and they collapse quick on the opponents here. Pay gets rewarded with all the eliminations. And just like that, they clean things up here at the Resistance Base. And the zone's on top of them. This is a perfect start for their kind of initial kickoff. But remember, all that matters is a victory royale, right? You want to punch your way in and out of today's competition to go straight to finals.
Demon's domain, or I mean, the Fortnite community would call it Pollo's domain, Peterbot's domain. This is the contested fight that you know we've been seeing all off season long, but in the group stages, the teams kind of split into their each respective groups. Aegis, Pollo, Acorn this time around are going to get it uncontested, and honestly, I don't know if that's good for the rest of the lobby, giving them a ton of time to formulate a plan, loot up, and then they get the extra superhero rank XP from that uncontested Demon's domain drop.
In some ways, it's like, just let it happen. It's inevitable, right? So we'll see them punching their way in and out. We'll have a lot to talk about that trio as we get into the grand finals weekend. But here in the group stages, it's nothing but another day in the office. That little fight going down right now, though. This is just outside of that Resistance Base. Furthermore, west here. Low ground team seems to be a little lost in the action right now. As Amen, not sure where the shots are coming from. Can't keep yourself exposed like that.
You can kind of even see, judging by the loadout, there's some missing bits of utility. Some players only having ARs, no shotguns. This is a straight off-spawn scrappy fight between these two teams, and timing is of the essence. We already saw the Resistance Base. The dust settled over there. They're looting up. If they hear this noise, you know as well as I do, Monster, invitation or not, they're like, hey, this is a third-party opportunity. This is for us to get that early game storm surge, so that way we can start to dictate our own game plan rather than kind of forced to fight a team because the storm surge says so.
Things seem to be kind of simmering out here. Both trios likely contemplating of whether or not this is worth taking to the finish line right now. But it's up to the high ground team to go in and make that disengaged decision. For now, they're sitting, looking for opportunity. As Turbulence is just kind of sitting idly, almost signaling to the team like, hey, look, we don't want to even leave from here. You know, you have a chance, run away. We don't gotta end this right now.
Yeah, and it's exactly what you said. The high ground team has the one with basically all the flexibility, all the choices in the world. No one's going to be able to disengage until they say so, but you're seeing a lot of these early game scuffles all around the map, even for some high places over towards Brutal. Boxcars just on the outskirts. Fort, Mako, Icy, box-to-box hole with another team, and they have one of them separated, and that's why they're trying to pounce, take the 3v1 while they can, and even with shots coming in, that third party, you see a whole nother team on the eastern side of that Brutal boxcars, because the zone, something you mentioned early on, is pulling in this direction, mainly towards the north. This is going to be a priority position.
Yeah, Mako's trio definitely needing some ammunition. They're going to look to finish up loop here. Should be all she wrote. There it is, the first knock. So Brutal Boxcar trio is forced to retreat. And this is all because of that Eastern team. Had they not put their influence in, I mean, Panda, Luke, and VenoX here, I guess, would have been full finished.
At least they're going to be able to kind of get a little bit of control over towards Brutal Boxcars, but you're seeing how active the game is overall. From Outpost, rotating up to Kappa Kappa, Rise, Aviv, G-Money, just taking the fight to Jargu, Silic, and their trio. Luckily, it looks like one of them might have been able to survive, and that's going to be the saving grace for that team over towards Kappa Kappa that lands there.
Pretty tough, you know, when you got a tier 1 team landing on you, and you're arguably up in that upper echelon of tier 2. Very notable trio fight right there, so unfortunate for them. Aviv, G-Money, and Rise, of course, a team to look out for. Set to do well here. Another team, of course, to look out. Blake Diego, Oliver OG. Season after season, year after year now. Oliver continuing to show up at the final stages. I would, in the past, maybe put this as a team that could be a potential call, but now I think they're a shoo-in.
Yeah, I would agree with that one, especially since they mainly getting in through a lot of consistency. A lot of these tournaments, they're playing these games in a finals-esque style lobby, even though some of the tournaments, some of the scrims don't necessarily end up like that. They're just staying true to their focus. As you go back on over towards Brutal Boxcars, getting a little bit more busy. You just have that shrine boss over here. You get a lot of superhero rank. You get a lot of different loot, ammo, med kits, minis, and the exotic weapon has a chance to drop. That's where you're seeing a lot of the focal point end up in this direction towards Brutal Boxcars, because even if a team isn't necessarily getting it for themselves, they're looking to see what scraps are left behind.
Yeah, but let's be honest, the best way to, of course, earn those hero ranks, gotta take fights, find your damage. You kind of scrap by, of course, doing all the side objectives, but teams are going to look to fight first, and Mako, Ice, and Void find out the hard way here as Northern lands on him, and Sandman comes from a side angle with 20 here, and they seem to have, I guess, the momentum in their side. Yeah, look at this, Mako down to 10 HP, cut off and finished, and that's the power of the sprite dash there. You know, most players try to preserve them, right? You know, you don't want to burn them off too soon, but you play like that, Plenty, of course, showing how to do it, how to get it done.
Yeah, almost like a no-brainer sacrifice. If I use these 2 charges and it gets me elimination, definitely going to be worth. And that's 20. Northern, Sandman, they land at the Supernova Academy uncontested. So you see, as soon as any team is uncontested towards Supernova Academy, because of that rail that launches you over towards Brutal Boxcars, it inevitably gives you a free shot, a free opportunity to fight the team without them noticing, and that's exactly what they're going to do. Even with 1 elimination, they got full control. But still, all around Brutal Boxcars, you're seeing this, Mad and Monster and their trio just getting these eliminations, cleaning up what is left on these outskirts, and if not for the points, it's for the loot that they weren't able to get early on.
Surprised they don't even see Void there, so he's kind of laying low right now as they've just been hunted down. No breaks given to them. Madden, Liam, and Drizzy was that Eastern team fighting on the mountains. It was just a matter of time before they kind of rotated through, so see what all, of course, resulted from that. Booga, Threats, and Craze. Booga looking to make his, what was that Vivid pointed to at the top of the show? 26th or so FNCS Grand Finals here to come. Very big time for of course, Booga. One of the most consistent year after year, season after season. Just doesn't give up.
Yeah, it's the most in this lobby at 25 currently. Agers is actually going to be the second most with 22, along with Acorn with 22, seeing a lot of experience in this lobby as the zone pulls and kind of centers up Utopia in the middle. That kind of gives them all the flexibility in the world. They don't have to rotate. They know from the north, the south, and the east, the teams are going to have to rotate into them, so they just kind of set up their triangle surge bases over towards Utopia to get as much of that storm surge as possible. Ishu, Taki, Vert, they land just towards the northeast of that Utopia city. And they typically are going to use this geyser. And instead of just once, because people are wondering right now, Monster, like, why? They're already in the sky. What are they waiting for? You double use this geyser. It gives you extra height. You're able to use it to get farther in towards the zone. So when we tune into them later on, Monster, I expect them to see probably center zone set up, ready to go.
Yeah, it's one of those techniques carrying over from the last season. So you can see the optimization here coming through. One thing to think about, I know Kelly was hinting at a potential increase in heal-offs, but we also are seeing an increase in teams playing the Storm, right? The Mistform gives you that much more freedom to kind of play around and battle really inside of the zones. I'm thinking we'll see a lot more Storm sickness, if anything, come the end game, but give it a second there. Vert, Esho, and Taki on the hunt once again, finding out Liam there. It's going to be one of 2 left in this trio.
Almost makes you wonder, did they just land on him from that double geyser? Probably so far away from his team. You see it on the western part of the mini-map. They're slowly, surely rotating in. Yep, that's exactly what they did. They landed directly on his surge base while Ishu just shooting him out from underneath. I don't think he stood a chance with the way they did that one.
That might be a little play they're giving away for grand finals right there. I don't know if I'd, run that playbook so soon here in a group stage, but one thing to think about, showing you all the vulnerabilities of playing so far apart from your teammates.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Medmis Smoke is already down, and this is kind of exactly what you were alluding to, how deep and how long they do fight into the zone. For Broken, Void, King, they kind of need this situation. They didn't necessarily get the most surge to start this game off, even while contested. So now they kind of feel forced in this situation to try to fight for it. 2v1, pressuring the box. King is able to get in, landing a good shot and continuing to pressure out, but damage is still there. But it's still a 3v1 monster. The bait and switch, they're making sure that the first point guy going into that box is going to be the most healthy, and that's why Broken is now taking the lead. Charging in, pressure's there, and there goes that full trio down and out.
Excellent pre-fires by BJ, but not enough to hold it down. And what a huge elimination. Their first misforms now falling out of their inventory into the hands of Void and company. That's going to be a massive power exchange for them. Looking at Acorn, Pollo, and Ager. Seems like you've got full control of things on the other side of the Foxy here. Again, this is about as ideal as it gets right now. Cat material loadout, this natural high ground, and then you see a loadout perfectly situated right now for an end game. So it's all gonna come down to fishing for damage here and just staying consistent now.
I'm sitting here looking in the mini map. I'm like, okay, Acorn has the island. You got to imagine they have them down. Where is his team? Nobody is on the island with them. They have so much separation. They're covering up so much space in this zone that they're able to kind of do what they want. Agers is on the north side, west of Foxy Floodgates. You got Acorn on the island. Let's go on hunted. Where is Pollo? He's on the other side of Foxy Floodgates on the mountain. So they have the west covered. They have the east covered. And then they have Acorn sitting in the middle, ready to help whoever needs it at any given time. This is just a perfect kind of scenario for what looks like the Major 1 champions.
Yeah, most definitely. And we saw a quick look at everyone's loadout. I mean, they are big chilling for this end game right now. Again, the name of the game for them is just hang out, get a little bit of damage, and I mean, they have full control of the Foxy's entire domain. Here's not too far off, Hound. Lila Larson right now at the Crime City. Lila whiffing a couple shots, but this is a team that already has a trio wipe under their belt.
You kind of see them looking off in the distance in the minimap. You see that little chest there where one team's already on it. Just north, you see the little green arrows, the second team. They're just kind of waiting for their superhero rank to go up. That's going to unlock the ability for them to open up that chest, get whatever loot that they have, kind of pick and choose if they already have a full loadout. So you're seeing kind of proactive plays coming out from some of these teams, kind of trying to box up and steal the loot, even if they don't have access it with their superhero rank yet.
Superhero rank is going to unlock you a lot of goodies on this end game, but hold up. Mafia already pushing up here. Woods, Minty, and Ski got to be careful right now. This team's looking at full collapse. Very interesting base. I'm not sure I've ever seen a fight start a base like that. We'll find out what the play is here shortly.
Just judging by the low surge, no eliminations. I believe that was the team that lands over the top eastern portion of the map. So instead of using that time to rotate in and get Storm Surge, they were focusing on that primary position towards the center of the zone. But that kind of leaves a hole in their game plan. So even though they're only 73 above the damage threshold, that can turn in the blink of an eye as soon as the next couple of zones do pull if they don't accumulate damage. Darzi goes Blizzard and Zoom as well, 47 above. It's a small feeling of confidence knowing you're at least not taking damage, but in the back of your mind, you know, I got to start finding, I got to start hitting these shots. Otherwise, it's going to be me forced with my back up against the wall just to push the first team we see.
Yeah, got to take accountability if you're not finding the tags that matter. It's the small decisions and opportunities that change your entire Fortnite game experience for sure. Well, let's jump into some action right now. Dargru having Silic here. Have a team on top of them, but one kind of looking, fishing for damage. They just want to get a few tags in, right? Kind of ease up this pressure that's coming from the Storm Surge here shortly for Mikey's trio. And Crackly, they don't want to be too rash either. Kind of waiting for the team to come to them, and it seems like everyone has decided to jump into the blender. Unfolding pretty quickly here. 75 damage above right now. Tries to retreat now for Focake. They want to heal. Kind of forced to right now.
Not necessarily in the worst spot. Moments ago, they were above the damage threshold. Much better than Jargo, Havoc, and Silic, who are 273, which is more than a full shield elimination. Crackly probably looking to take some of their focus, but Jargo used that misform to try to reposition, but he's still trying to go on the offensive. No opportunities for him there, but they're trying to play calm, cool, collected. Even as they're so far down the damage threshold, they're trying to play as calculated as possible because you cannot give any big shots up to any one of these two teams because then it could be all over.
I mean, answer this, Jacob. Can you misform and block a Storm Surge tag? Like, have we seen that tested to some degree?
The timing on that one would be actually pretty
insane.
I want to say it's possible because I've seen that misform mitigate every single ounce of damage so far, but Hypers loses Focake, and they're still falling below that damage threshold. But with the Outlaw Shotgun, all it takes is one shot to turn the tides of not only the fight, but your damage threshold, but that's not going to come into play this game, at least. That full trio is going to get wiped by Jargo, Silic, and Havoc. They're going to be able to live to tell the tale and hopefully get in his zone sooner rather than later.
That's how you handle being below the surge. Well played by them. Very few teams will make it out of that type of situation a lot. I mean, you had 3 trios all on top of each other for Smas, Electro, and King Beast. Oh, no. A lot of damage coming through. It's a world of trouble here on the horizon for Smas. Tries to find a tag. This is the crucial one that mattered there, but boxes up the team. Okay, almost got out of there with the tag he needed.
Oh, that was a great play. That was getting him to cancel the med kit. Active Storm Surge. That's exactly what you got to do, Monster, in situations like that. You almost can tell if you're above the damage threshold by like 200, 300, 400, and you know a team is recklessly pushing you as far away from the zone as they have. You kind of get a semblance of, hey, maybe they're low on surge. If we could just survive long enough, that will do the work for us, and that's exactly what just happened.
Rise, VG money now. Outside the safe zone here. I'm gonna say forced to kind of make this rotate here and now. We'll go a bit earlier than the other teams to find themselves in better positioning. Comes the rest of the trio now.
Now we're seeing both the dashes being used. You know they have the misform in their back pocket, just kind of combining both methods of rotation to try to make their way in. But just as they reach the end, Pei, the full trio, Booga's trio as well, maybe even one other, all focusing in this direction. Even though they're surviving for now, they are burning through a lot of materials.
Yeah, for sure. You saw for a second there, Rise switched that med miss in case things got super dire there, but not forced to use it. That was Threats and Booga's trio kind of kicking off that lobby focus for a second there. Blake, Olivero, G, Diego find themselves in a zone pull. Not bad at all. A very short distance rotate for them now. You see the marker come out. They're looking to get a piece of that high ground. Look at them. Well positioned above the threshold as far as overall damage is concerned. And no elim, so really just showing that they've manipulated and played this lobby very consistently thus far. Great start to this end game now for them. Agers, Oyo, and Acorn, though, not looking good for the team we hyped up as Agers bails his team out of a terrible situation here. Siphon kicks in for everyone.
Yeah,
They're
unfortunately
back.
enough. Yeah, that was Day, Boji, and Jack that just went down. And this is where I'm talking about. Sometimes you may think you're safe, but somebody's creeping around any one of these walls can turn that one. Booga, Threat sprays. They wasted no time trying to get into zone. They used a combination of those dashes that we saw. And as soon as they reach the edge, they're just looking back, trying to hold out every single one of these teams. And you're seeing exactly why. They're barely above that damage threshold. And so they're focusing any single person that they can.
And you can see that, you know, again, they're only a B rank at best, right? So not too much, you know, opportunity for them to really hit those hero chests and kind of get the big misforms and kind of those upgrades. So we'll see how they play with their more or less scrappy loot. For Bila, TK, and Larson, though, it's looking pretty tight here. They've got options and opportunities. Fights breaking down all on the outskirts of VG Money and Rise continuing to push aggressively here through their rotate. They haven't caught a break, these teams that have landed on them, but defense looking very, very well. Misform. Might be time to pull that out. I was gonna say you don't want to be in between all these boxes. Smart play for Aviv there.
basically in an island rotating through that one. All the way from Outpost Enclave as well. They got to have one of the farthest rotations in the lobby so far. And to be able to find this much success, hopefully it doesn't run out, because another far pull. Almost the entirety of this lobby has to rotate all the way towards Shining Shafts from the east to the west. And that's where you're hoping you have some sort of mobility, whether it's the Dash Sprite, the Surf Cube, or that Mistform.
Yeah, most teams on the move now. The VG Money and Rise, though. My gosh, are they smashing through this lobby right now? Another team falls beneath them, just cracking under pressure here in the end game, recharging up these dashes now. Might be the last of what they had left from the Dash Sprite there. Threats, Booga, and Craze also ready to kind of go here.
Almost looks like they're waiting for cheeky opportunities like that. Larson getting tagged up as he makes his way towards the zone. Agers continuously looking back. 700 damage above. They're seeing two teams struggle to make their way in. And the Medmiss smoke is a huge sign of weakness as Void Blue takes a ton of damage. Forced to pause there in his step. He's not even at the zone just yet. Luckily for him, Power is there, but that luck has run out. Forced to abandon. Power getting chipped down. Xander cannot lend a helping hand, or at least not just yet. Jackson is going to get taken down as well. The firing squad from Pollo's, Acorn, and Agers claim another one.
Violet, TK, and Larson getting busy here on the outskirts of the zone once again, just opting to stay on these outer edges, wait for teams to kind of come to them for that cheeky damage here. Plenty of time to fight here and now, but no, they're just going to chill out, go and replenish these dashes. Meanwhile, high ground's taking shape right now. Hound, Aiden, and Krillian going to be the first to go ahead and situate up for this end game here. Look at the commitment from the metal right now. So they want to go ahead and hold this high take.
And this could be right now Carillian's first FNCS Grand Finals appearance if they could somehow clutch up a win. Aiden and Hound, they play duos. They have the chemistry. They have the history on their side, and they have the high ground as well. Ninth zone, you got to be careful. That Mistform could change things at a moment's notice, but 61 below the damage threshold. Threats continuously looking for opportunities from 8 to 44 down to 40. It's just a teeter-totter of emotions running through these players, but it finally slows down as they get 100 above. That's going to be a big find for them. Craze gets the elimination on a 20.
And you saw Mistform falls there as well. So here it goes.
Big.
The tier 1 teams now starting to pick up those key items that can really change the end game dynamic here. Viola, TK, and Larson, though, opting to play the low ground here. So far, this strategy has not gone astray for them. They have played perfect rotations here, but starting to fall behind now. The zone's going to look to condense very, very fast. Hound, Carillion, and Aiden have given themselves a lot of space to the high ground here, trying to avoid the Mistform. Retakes here from trios, but it'd be just a matter of time. Pollo, Acorn, and Angel are starting to cook up here. The last we saw them, they were looking pretty desperate, but they have clawed their way right back into this game right now.
And you're seeing the beauty in action of that Demon's Domain. He's able to get the shield medallion back on up with the big pot 100, but a VG Money Rise, they're on the hunt. That's Byla. They were able to get a knock onto one, but Byla's just trying to backtrack in towards the zone, give himself some time to work with, especially since now they've been focused out. Time for him to make that decision for TK. Do I get the revive? Do I not? And it looks like he's going to have to continue this one by himself relatively because he's so far away from Byla. I'm not sure they could reunite at this moment.
Here goes a fight for high ground. Oliver OG and Diego go for it. Carillion, Hound, and Aiden lose the high ground for a second there. Diego, Blake, and Oliver, the more experienced trio, managed to time it. Hound, the force of the low ground here. So close, yet so far from a victory royale. Now they're going to have to fight for it for the low ground. G-Money denies that opportunity, though. Carillion falls, Aiden falls. It's all up to Hound. Meanwhile, Pollo, Acorn, Agers, token in hand now. And they're taking full advantage of that Mistform play, Medmiss play in the zone there. This is all starting to collapse now, Jacob.
This is just a chaotic endgame. Everybody's just getting destroyed by this zone. It went up the mountain, down the side. So if you weren't planning ahead, you're probably back in the lobby watching all this one play out as Hound. He lost his teammates. He lost the high ground, but he gained an opportunity to tell his story here late into the game. Even with Vert getting cleaned up, Aviv, G-Money, Rise, they continue to steamroll through trio after trio here.
I mean, these are big points right now for Pollo, Acorn, and Agers. Kings of the low ground now. Oliver OG and team come down. They're trying to get a piece of the action here. Looking to seal up the win here, but no team has really given resistance to Pollo And Acorn down to the low ground. Rise of Eve and G Money, though, starting to fall apart here, playing as a duo, hit to hit right now. It's all going to come down to timing here and now. If they misplay this, they can still lose this game. Oliver OG taking that unfortunate damage from the storm here, but Pollo is cooking on the low ground. Look at them rack up right now.
I was about to say,
Acorn
it's
falls.
basically a 3v3 with a duo left alive, but now there's two duos still running around, but one of them does get taken out. That's Rise. G-Money no more. Agers goes for a play backside of the zone, but he does not find any success there. Scrambling all around. Diego's trying to put the pressure onto Agers. They have heal off, possibility staying high, but Blake goes down, but it's going to be a trade. Agers falls. Oliver OG turns around, gets the elimination. Him, Blake, and Diego have just qualified for the Major 3 finals.
I guess we hyped him up for good reason. We said they were going to be a shoot-in, and hey, Oliver OG flexing what all that hard work and practice can do for you in an FNCS lobby. This is just a kickoff. The win means you go straight to grand finals, and he'll be seeing another with Diego there too. What a game to go in and kick this one off, Jacob.
Yeah, we saw a lot of our heavy hitters playing low ground throughout the course of that game. And there was only 2 teams that even played for height. Diego, Blake, and Oliver OG was the second team, and they were the ones who solidified that victory royale and granted themselves a spot into the Major 3 Grand Final. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, I know it's only the first game, but what are your thoughts?
Yes, Blake. Yes, Blake. That's what I like. That right there. That's what I like to see. Oh my gosh, they've secured themselves a spot in the grand finals of Major number 3, and they will look to compete for one of the spots going to the global championships. Oh my gosh, looking at Diego's inventory there at the very end, bro, they've got nothing, and they still come out on top. I was scared, guys. I'll admit, I looked over when we swapped to the Pollo POV and then like 15 elims. I was like, well, yeah, that's fine. Game number 1, we could give it to him. And then Blake, Oliver OG, Diego Play said, no, hold on, Zeke. Just wait, just watch.
Yeah, a great high take from them as well, as you were watching right here. Just very clean, very smooth, and it's showcasing just what those capes can do. Oliver OG, Blake, and then Diego just playing the high ground so well, not playing too aggressively. I think a lot of players with these capes like to drop down, try and grab a bunch of refreshes, and we can see how low Diego is on mats here. But they don't fret, they play it smooth and safely, and they know it's a 3v2. Even against the likes of Pollo and Agers, you just have to play patiently, and that's exactly what we saw from this trio.
Incredible timing there for Blake, Oliver, and Diego, right? Usually when we have a meta like this where there's so many mobility items that kind of make it easy for you to go up vertically, kind of contest the high ground, we have to see those high ground teams kind of separate themselves with a bunch of, space between them and the second height. But right there, they slipped up just a little bit. Hounds trio on the high ground got a little bit too close to that second layer, and Blake, Oliver, OG, and Diego instantly took advantage.
Oh man, I cannot wait to see them compete in the finals. It's so sick. Now, of course, I know what you want, more Fortnite action, but first, a short break. When we return, we pick back up with game number 2, so stay tuned.
If you miss, you gon' regret it. Before you crawl, know I'm running it all. I'm built up like a pharaoh, now they praying that I fall. Through shadows, been burning through these battles. No weakness in my body, need to know you better ask somebody. Already, I consume the petty, it's plenty. I leave a penny for thoughts about how I'm living. Ay, turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it. No, it's a rap, got the match built like a pro. You know the legends go, harder than audio. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known. Me off the top, no way. I came and carved my name. I gave my life life into my place. Earned everything that I claim. Nothing ever could replace me. 3-4-3-4, square dance on the floor. This is not a ball. I'm above it all. Start, I see my glow up. Where you supposed to go? Post it on the low, can't lose and find the go. Leave me in the zone, I take your mind and then I snatch your soul. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known. I get it, they love my whole steady. They got so listen, told you this ain't hypothetical. Answer the call, prove this once and for all. Can't reach me with an arrow, summer nights I never fall. No cattle, the goat don't wear a saddle. Go riders off my body, cut them off, they yak sloppy. Already, I consume the petty. The vision's 2020, believe your eyes are winning. Turn up the track, going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known. It's the rap, got the match built like a pro. You know the legends go, harder than adios. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known. The track going deep, I'm in the zone. You know I'm about to go, harder than hard to go. When the lights shine bright, that's my show. Burn up and see the glow, I'm gonna make it known.
Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. We just wrapped up game number 1, and man, it was a wild one. Of course, there's a couple things that happened in that game, like, I don't know, Acorn, Agers, and Poyo just going absolutely ham in that game. Oh my gosh, what was their total? How many eliminations did they end up with? Because again, we kind of went into those final few moments, and again, when we jump over to Poyo, and I'm like, bro, this guy's just got it all. He's got medallion. This is an easy GG, right? They don't manage to get the victory royale, but guys, these guys are 100% in first place as far as consistency is concerned.
You know, I've been watching their streams over the last few weeks and through the play-ins, and something that Acorn said during one of these games where in first moving, he's like, oh, everyone stays to the front of zone, we need to change the meta. And I've kind of noticed that when they are on the low ground, they actually kind of stay towards the side, maybe even in the middle, where they allow a lot of these other teams to kind of rotate in front of them, and that's why they're able to get so many eliminations. And not until they're kind of aware of where everyone else is on the low ground do they push for that front zone. So I'm loving these adjustments. I'm loving the awareness that this has, and that obviously comes from Acorn being one of the smartest IGLs in all of Fortnite, and to have him with Poyo and Agers, these incredible fraggers. The only thing that hurts me is that we got to see some dig on dig crime. Of course, Acorn and Oliver OG, you know, when the organizations go up against each other, it's a bittersweet moment, but what a great moment that was, Vivid.
I mean, you want to talk about moments, right? There was a game-defining moment for this trio. It was definitely their eliminations on today, right? MDF and Jacob were talking about it. As soon as we kind of tuned into their POV at the start of that fight, they were like, whoa, these guys are not looking good at all. And then a couple seconds later, boom, they pick up the eliminations, they pick up the refresh, and they just went ahead with that momentum. I mean, 17 total eliminations, picking up that second place after our casters are kind of able to kind of tune in and be like, whoa, they're not looking so good. Turn it into that kind of a game. Incredible stuff from the trio.
Oh my gosh. And I mean, of course, on the other side though, right? You've got Aviv, you got G-Money, you got Rise. They didn't get 17, but third place in 12 eliminations. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know what about this meta is making like these trios just say like, we're gonna find every elimination. We're gonna get every single one possible. But you know, it is so exciting to see. And again, like, you know, all of these tiny little interactions, eliminating a player, taking their stuff, suddenly an impact, suddenly a new weapon, ammo, materials, whatever it is, like that moment to moment right now is just so unbelievably exciting to me, Kelly.
Yeah, that Sentinel pump in the right hands can just end up with a double-digit elimination, joined by G-Money and Rise, who are able to kind of just navigate the low and mid ground so well in that end game, giving Aviv just all of the gas that he needed to go hard. And, you know, Rise, Money, they were a duo in that situation, but going and continuing to thrive in that situation where you don't really know the chaos is going on around you. How are you going to be able to survive? Where should you be positioning yourself in the end game? Well, this duo right here handled that with just great ability.
And kind of checking out those highlights from that game right there, I'm actually able to notice that it's actually around the same time, 7th zone, similar to kind of Acorn's trio, where they look like they were not doing so well either, right? We kind of tuned into Aviv's trio earlier on throughout the game, and it was like, whoa, they're racking up eliminations very, very easily. Can't believe they weren't the trio with the most eliminations in that game, all things kind of considered, because they were so down bad in like 7-6 zone. They had to keep playing aggressive, but it just worked out for them.
They're trying to hit that S rank. They're like, all right, S rank,
Yeah.
pretty good stuff to me. I did want to highlight quickly 5th place Taki Isho and Vert. We kind of talked about them at the start of the show, right? And to see them kind of, you know, this is a really good starting place, right? We just need to keep this momentum moving forward. We just need to keep doing what we're doing. We can't, of course, make any mistakes, right? We make a single slip up, a single, you know, we get sent back to the lobby type situation, and suddenly we can find ourselves outside of that top 5. But this is a great start, Kelly.
Yeah, no, I honestly think with just one game done that there's still so much opportunity for Taki, Isho, and Vert in all of our trios, honestly, to kind of make these micro adjustments that we talk about, potentially look at what they did wrong over the last game or last few games as we continue on throughout the day. So even though they're in 5th place, which is a good position to be in for group stages, I don't think that there's too much of a worry for them.
Kind of crazy as well how brutal this, you know, this meta is. It keeps people alive for so long because of the meds, the mist form that's kind of available for all of our players. Makes those solo clutches really, really easy. It just makes placement points very, very hard to get as well. Like Buka's trio not finding themselves in the top 10 on the consistency leaderboard, even though they were alive in like 11th zone. Super, super brutal.
Yeah, I mean, they're currently sitting in 13th place, right? So I like that you call that out. Let's keep our eyes on that over these next few games. Now, remember, we only have 5, which means we have 4 left to go before we close group number 1. So we can't skip a beat. Let's get ready to jump back into the action. MDF, over to you.
Thank you. And yes, I think that we're seeing the early glimpse of how the new end games are going to start taking form in these higher tier lobbies, Jacob. A lot of players seem to be able to go the distance now. All thanks to all the opportunities, the heals, the med miss, the miss form, right? There's so many ways to do that.
Yeah, throughout the course of that game, I was even thinking to myself, man, placement points got to be huge right now. It was still 14 teams still up. Some of them is probably solos, some of them probably duos, but it's the miss form that is truly key. And it really goes to show, man, just heals, 2 med kits, maybe a med miss smoke can really change the difference between top 14 and a top 8. And that's where half of the placement points are at.
Yeah, well, clearly Oliver OG and team are going to be happy now. They're going straight to the grands. It's all up to the rest now to try to pull in a victory royale. Let's talk about the dynamic changes here really quickly. We're tearing into the next game. When you win, you are done. There's a new spot now that's going to open up here. So we'll see as we jump into game number 2.
With proven success from that drop spot already, Monster, we'll see if anybody is daring enough to switch it up. Already a victory royale, and I think most of the community thought Oliver, Blake, and Diego was going to make it in, but more so on the side of consistency. And when I have that in the back of my head, if I'm one of those teams that is in a contested drop, maybe I start to move my way over there. If not this game, probably games 3 or 4.
Yeah, I mean, Aiden, Hound, and Carillion had high ground early. They were the first to take it, invested all their metal, and still raised themselves many layers above the rest of the teams. But somehow, some way, Oliver OG's team still managed to get up to high ground and contest them and give them a run for their money. So it was, I think, really well fought for, right? And earned, honestly.
Yeah, and I thought more teams would probably be going for high ground. I think that's something we're going to see as the games do continue on. Only so many teams can survive down below, but back at the resistance base, a contested fight that we saw early on in game number 1 kind of settled in one direction, and already an early down is going to go on way of Pay, Boogeyman, and Quick, who won the fight in game number 1, and back-to-back eliminations as all 3 go down 2 games in a row.
Quick, Pay, and Boogeyman playing very well early game. They carried that into the mid game before falling before, so a lot of lessons to be learned there. Priscilla on Kadios and Bait, one of those first few teams, of course, looking to try to see if they can make their initial grands. This is contested, though. The standoff right now, but Priscilla caught off and out of bounds, essentially, there. Can't be on the other side of the trio. And your team's kind of playing the opposite. That was just a small misplay, right?
Yeah. I feel like I can almost hear the team comms. Why are you even on that side? We know it's a split drop, especially after game 1, but Violent's going through the same thing over at Lone Wolf. They know it's contested, but he's able to get the first elimination with the Spire, but it's only going to be a knock. 2v2 still going down with Larson, trying to steal some of these pieces away, find success in the short moment. Sale has to be able to get this damage there. TK gets tagged up just a little bit. He's forced to back up and cower down as Larson does go down. That's a 2v1 situation now with him being last island. What's to say, TK was able to escape, but another third-party monster.
Yeah, but you can't miss those tags. Mafia techs now show up fast before TK can even really process what happens, it seems like. They're looking. They have an inkling of where he is. There's only so many options you can get to. TK hit for 90 and then the finish there. And quick finish for them. All that momentum they built out of game 1 now deleted as they are forced to kind of play towards the later half of the tournament here. Only 5 games, Jacob. Losing one really sets you back, even on overall points as well.
And interesting to see because that team that kind of pushed over towards Lone Wolf Lair, they were originally planning on going towards first order base, so either they made a quick rotation monster or they switched things up, which is working out for them. BJ Baloney at September 19th. Going up against a fight here, but even though you kind of see this full fight breaking down 3v3 from high ground to low ground, Turbulence going for a knock onto one, you can kind of see on the outskirts of this fight a third party waiting for it all to play out so they can kind of take what they hope to steal away from the winner of this fight.
Interesting about this fight is, you know, the first game we was able to tell very clearly the teams were deciding, maybe it's not worth finishing. This time, no. Much different story. They're pushing it through to the end, and then you have Boogeyman sneaking up right now. So for one team wipe, looking to get into the next one. They've heard the shots. They see what's going on here. But it seems like the team's already hunting down the one solo left, and don't even know what's going on right now. The 3-2-1 here, Jacob.
It's an interesting decision, too. A lot of strategies so far from the couple teams that we saw already kind of changing up. Because in game 1, they won their off-spawn bite. They looted resistance base. The zone was relatively close, and they played the rest of the game at normal. They probably saw something throughout that course of the game 1. The contested fight going on over towards their west, and they're looking to try to take advantage of it, but nobody's rotating in that direction. I feel like for Boogeyman, Quick, and Pay, they just got to continue on with the rest of the game, just like they did in the first one.
Another team lurking right here. Oh, the missed shot. Can't miss those tags right there. That ambush foiled now. Zonda gets away. Power FN already has the high ground here, looking backwards now. Okay, Kuiperson, Luckin Dog. Probably gonna have to give this one up right now. Missed opportunities, big time right here. We'll come back around and check their damage later as the surge turns on. We'll see if we find them below. We'll know why. For Drizzy, Liam, and Madden, though, trying to make up for that mid-game fault that they had last time.
I want to say it almost seems like it could be a similar zone for the most part, even though it does have a little bit more of an eastern lean. You see it moving down towards Pump Power, maybe in Utopia, as Naves gets tagged from 2 different angles, caught off guard in that split second, trying to heal up. Hopefully his teammates are there to alleviate some of the pressure. Aloe is trying to do just that, landing some shots on the Brazzi down below. He has that ultimate high ground, and he's going to try to pressure these teams, allow for some time to Naves to actually heal up without the thought of anybody trying to pressure that box. And nobody, in theory, this is such an isolated fight because you see it's kind of pushing in from Shogun Solitude just past Candid's Crossing at the peak of this mountaintop where you have a launch pad as well. So there's not going to be any third parties rushing in to try to take this position or steal this fight away. At the worst, maybe somebody looking off into the distance. That's going to allow exactly what we're seeing here. A lot of flexibility for both of these teams to try to disengage off this mountain and rotate into the zone.
Funnily enough, though, both teams thinking the same exact thing. Like, let's kind of give it up. Look, Brazil, Cinema, they still think the trio's up top, but we've kind of already gone. Back to the Crime City, though. Power Blue, Zonda. Probably not finding tags off that surge base. Now they're saying, hey, whatever happened to that team that was in the city with us? They turn back and they find them. Hyper's just going to fall here. And Their whole entire plan is starting to crumble. Cake has a chance though to kind of turn this back around, turn this into a 2v2.
He did get a knock.
Not
That's
bad.
the difference maker. It looked like he was going to try to hide, play hero when his teammate did go down, but him getting that knock kind of changed up the entire course of this fight. Now Blue and Power are looking at how are we going to save Zonda? How are we going to keep him into the game? Cake with another angle, but he only has the DMR, so there's not a lot of pressure Cake can put down single-handedly.
Oh, but Lucky Dog's here, but no, shots from the distance. They're gonna kill every opportunity they had. Kind of turn this around, and Power gets a shield crack, and Luckin doesn't put the builds down. Oh no. And then the team in the distance snipes one of them as well.
Fortunate circumstances going down. This is the problem we talk about, especially one of these contested POIs. The third parties coming in from Predator's Peak, Luke, Phoenix, and Pandas. They're able to get the elimination over towards the Resistance base, and this is a team that didn't even land here initially. They went back towards the Resistance base, trying to get whatever loot is left on over, and they ended up landing against the team of Quick, Pay, and Peace. They get the elimination, and now they basically double up their loot.
Well, stood around longer than they should have. Look at that. Clean finish off the Pay, right into the box. Fearless for Venox. Remember Boogeyman and Pay, they had the trio elimination, and then they were trying to lurk, catch another team off guard, and instead Irony attacks here as they end up being the team ambushed on.
Back to the game plan as usual. Just gonna take a quick peek. There's not too many teams contesting that island, so it's going to go uncontested Agers, Acorn, and Pollo yet again. Following in the same blueprint of their game number one, they weren't able to get the win, but 17 eliminations, Monster. Another game like that, they might have top 5 locked and loaded, ready to go. Still got to play it out. On the other side of the map, you're seeing a fall from grace or an attempt at it. They're just trying to chop down the high ground, so that way it becomes an easier battle that they think they could take.
A lot of mats committed there too, but that is second. We jump in with Tex. Hades and Mafia right now. Great shield crack here on the bait. Well, his team's got them cut off on the second layer too, but Mafia falls by the shotgun of Moncadios on the other side of the wall. Bait though, here it is, the exchange. Hades gets the follow-up, and there's the full finish. They're gonna have to play for the save here shortly, but there's another team lurking nearby. Pressure's on now to perform here.
Please, Monster, you correct me. Anybody in chat that's watching, correct. Is this the most fighting we've seen in a group stage ever to start a tournament off? From game 1 to game 2, it just feels like they're just endless. Teeks, Hades, they're the last alive. Mafia's not there. I bet you they got their reboot card, but they need to figure out a way to disengage. And it just got even harder because there's another third-party team moving in to try to close the distance. Teeks does go down, so it's all going to be up to his teammate, the last alive on their team, to try to get these cards and reboot them back into the game.
Yeah, look, it could be, you know, attributed to the lack of cash cups this season, right? Like we said, not too many set lobby chances to really get it in. So what you're seeing could just be the raw, unfiltered take at these games. Teams seem to be getting caught completely off guard left and right inside of the storms here. And then so many ways to push, right? You got all these dashes, misforms, and it just seems like confidence at all-time high.
Then you add in stuff like this, the Med Smoke, where it's kind of your entire team can carry a stack of 2 and make sure everybody stays alive for so long. Bray is trying to escape, but he knows it's eventually going to be over. If he doesn't find himself with elimination, he did his best, but he's going to fall short of the marker. Luckily for him, though, just leaving the minimap on the eastern edge. You see Core just trying to escape. There is a launch pad there. There's a lot of different mobility in the game that we were talking about. So hopefully for him, he has some HP to regain, whether it's med kits, Chug Chug, or Med Smoke, to try to get his team back in the game.
Well, nicely played for them. Jumping back to some of the big boys in the lobby. The vets here, Booga, Brazen Threats, falling short last game in that end game. Again, 13th place with how much time alive they attributed to that round really shows the difference, the significance of Misform, Med Miss, and all the other, you know, mobility items that you have available and at your disposal here. Now we're getting to see how the misform can be used for the W key as Vert, Escher, and Taki get a knock and immediately collapse in. Looking to burn that first misform there. Absolutely worth it. They secure the loot here. This is at the center of the Shining Span now.
This could be good control for them too, depending on where the zone continues to move. There's no outskirts, there's no edge of zone currently here at Shining Span. We have seen in Majors Pass 1 and 2, zones go over towards Shining Span, and whoever's the one that's brave enough to kind of claim the top of that bridge usually ends up performing well, as Woods just kind of get 3-2-1 by the entire trio. He's gonna fall. They immediately use that misform to close the distance.
No one missed the shot there. He fell before he could even react.
Good punish, and then you see them passing around the medallion like a hot potato. You get shield, and that's how a team like this over towards Demon's Domain is able to kind of make it far into the game. They're not forced to use a lot of their resources, so that way the minis, they're able to keep them longer and longer in towards the end game where they make more of an impact, especially if you're taking damage, pressured from all around. Just outside Lone Wolf lair, Turbulence, Amen, Lucky T, they're able to survive using every single resource at their disposal just in order to just get that revive. They do have the med miss smoke, but now is where they got to start thinking. The zone is pulling so far away of where they're currently at, all the way towards the eastern edge. They have to make that a focal point from here on out.
Good use of this surf cube here. I mean, you get a lot of distance out of this. Lucky's gonna go ahead and looks like he's seemingly getting back to some old loot there, but catch up with them in a second. As again, got to get to the safety first. Dark Havoc and Silic by the Kappa Kappa factory. See that stat right there. Silic and Jargu both played their first FNCS finals last season, placing 21st. Let's see how much they've managed to learn in their end game high tier lobbies.
Those edge fights right now just out of Demon's Domain. Two teams currently battling it out, 3v3. Electro and his trio versus Jackson and his trio, but there's a whole nother one coming out of Demon's Domain and a solo player just towards the east. So the longer this fight goes, the harder it's going to be because they're using so much material, which you could already see they don't have a lot of. 3 points so far, that coming from eliminations in game number 1. That puts a lot of pressure on them to survive. So that way they don't have those mental kind of roadblocks throughout the rest of the tournament.
Both sides kind of poising up, just looking for an opportunity, but this low fire rate rifles here not really giving them that quick advantage they're looking for. Jack's got to be careful though, losing the walls there.
I would say they kind of got blessed there in a moment. Zone didn't pull too far away, so they don't have too much distance to cover after this one's over, but they're just kind of getting the maps burnt away, trying to create some extra space. That's Jackson on that side. Smoss, Electro, Doug King Beast, they're just trying to hold their position here. They're feeling confident playing their game. They haven't moved too far away from where the fight actually started. That way they can run in and out of their builds if things get tough.
Yeah, Beast not happy with them kind of claiming that extra territory to play with. You can see him inching his way in now. Might just be a matter of time before the Surge goes and gives the update to the lobby. They don't know what they need to do at that moment. G-Money Rising Beef, though, on the move right now. At the center of the next zone here. Got themselves a little bit of a position. Max material as well. Here's that warning we talked about, but no damage problems for this trio.
Looking back, that's kind of where their two trios were fighting back there. One trio is going to be above, more towards the eastern edge. Smoss, Beast, and Electro. And not out of zone just yet, but they're holding on to the high ground. That way, when that team rotates on out, they can try to get damage, but they became hunted by a whole nother team, and they find themselves 200 plus below that damage threshold. And now they're feeling the pressure. They're feeling the timing on their back that they have to start to react here, because every 5-7 seconds, 25 damage when Storm Surge activates, and you don't want to just blow through all of your heals this early in the game. Acorn and Boyo not content with that low ground push they try to make onto Icy's trio there.
Seems like too many other teams are starting to set up all around them. Gonna have to give that one up here. Zone's gonna pull past Utopia now. Meanwhile, Smas, I mean, the surge is gonna turn on here. They're below. We saw them kind of in that standoff. I think they were trying to feel out their damage, but you could see it. They did not have enough. Cinnamon gets collapsed on. The aggression is real, but Beast falls first. Smas there to back it up. Jax, Brazil, and Cine just hitting the shots that matter most.
Team is still active. Surge. Smas goes down to power, which is a whole nother team. Both teams above the damage threshold, over 600. And a far zone pull going over towards Utopia. Maybe even further. I hinted at Shining Span being a possibility, Monster. I didn't think it would actually go all the way over there. So I think about the teams that were already on that side of the map. Taki, Ishao, Vert, Booga, Crazed, Threads that lands towards Utopia. So if you were kind of here and hedged your bets, you got to be one of the most better positioned teams in the game so far.
Oh, most definitely. And then look at that body of water, right? This is going to play a lot of dynamic in this end game here. It's going to start to influence these teams to start piling up on these outskirts here. It's really going to cause strong funnels. No threats, though. What happened here? Just Crazy and Booga up right now. They're trying to keep a low profile, though. Notice they're kind of below this indestructible you know, clip edge right there, keeping the tree up from the other trio, so they really don't want to attract attention right now. Seems like Booga and Crazy are trying to play for endgame here. Almost strictly consistency. Acorn, Boyo, and Agers doing somewhat similar, but they've got themselves their eyes on the prize for other teams. Look at this. They fall from below the surge now. They were 400 above just in the last zone. Booga gets tagged there. This might be the signal to kick this off. You know, there was only 2 teams, and here comes the chase.
And because of that medallion, they know exactly who's pushing them right now through the 2 situation. Poyo feeling more and more confident, but now Storm Surge is active. Around every 7 seconds, 25 damage will tick onto these players. And the kicker on top of that, Monster, they don't go down. You get straight eliminated by Storm Surge if it activates.
But you see how good the misform is right there. Allowing Booga and Craze to actually escape and now rotate straight to the next zone there. Narrowly getting away from Agers, Acorn, and Boya, who are desperate here and now. You wouldn't expect a team this good to be under the surge here for game 2, but they have plenty of room to play with Acorn on the lead here, looking to kind of cut them off. Agers trying to back him up, but no, gets tagged in return there. Comes the misform. Acorn falls there, getting grief for the damage. And still, even with all that, they're still underneath.
Pass around the medallion. Good play by Poyo to drop down the Medmis smoke to keep Agers alive a little bit longer, but Storm Surge is just eating them alive. 33 below the damage threshold. Even though they've isolated this fight against that team that is going to be right below them, it has not gotten easier any step of the way through. 1 damage still below the threshold, and for now, Storm Surge will deactivate, but they got about 40 seconds to get above that threshold.
Nice. Boyo finding a knock right there. That's huge. That should be enough. He needs to get this finish too. And a 149. What a crack right there. Really showing you guys why Boyo is that guy. Hold up though. He's not done. There's the finish he's looking for. Okay, so they're right back in it like they never left here. Hold up. He countered and it comes through. No. Caught off guard there. Boyo falls. Storm's doing way too much damage. Agers actually has to leave him behind. Jacob, this all goes downhill.
It's a real tough situation to be in, especially since Poyo not only had the medallion, but he had a bunch of HP heals as well, med kits.
Yeah.
The Medmis smoke, that was exactly what they needed, and the materials on top. You're seeing how low on resources overall Agers is. Couple of empty slots and less than 20 builds overall. You're seeing the struggles around the lobby. Taki, Ishao, Vert, much better position. They've been proactive throughout the course of this game, rotating south from their actual drop spot just to be first to every single one of these rotations. Seeing a replay of how they're getting all of that loot and more. They're able to get Vnox into the box. They clean that one up with ease before they go right back on to pushing out. Switched on over
What
to
a
V,
play.
G-Money, and Rise. Yeah, that was good.
I mean, just back and forth right now. We're really seeing the action pick up here for game number 2. Look at this. Another update. Agers finding minis. Who knows where, but he's got something to work with right now. Couple charges left in the misform here. That's going to be the difference in him actually earning some extra placement point here.
Sneaking around, finally gets spotted out. He has no build, so he can't even really protect himself. So he sets his eyes in the sky. You hear the birds going around, and that's where in the back of his mind, are they chasing me? Are they not? It does look like Blue and Craze continue rotating straight forward in towards the zone. They don't want to take too many risks considering they already lost threats earlier into this game, but they still are able to take down Agers.
Full circle moment there for Booga. He's the one who finds the tag onto Agers there. Misform to go in and rotate out. More pressure coming through, and even with no threats in the lobby, pulling through here and now. But if G Money and Rise are on the hunt right now, they find Craze. They wrap it up so time. He's gonna have to fight for this one. Doesn't escape fast. Time. Like that. G Money, Rise, and Aviv get their hands on their first misform. Very big pickup here.
Yeah, Misform truly is going to be a difference maker, especially in the right hands. But for now, Crackly, Mikey, Rao, they're on the high ground. But we can see Night Zone already from game one. Just be a little bit too early for any team to feel safe, especially with the different mobility items in the game that can kind of steal it away in the blink of an eye. As Taki, Isha rotating towards the left side of the zone. They don't want to be on that ultimate low ground just yet. They know it's too chaotic down there with so many teams wreaking havoc.
Yeah, if you're Crackly's team who's holding high ground, you gotta start pressuring these mid-ground layers. Otherwise, G Money Rise will have a chance to take for high ground. But look at this. As I start talking about what is the next textbook play, Ral FN seems like they get collapsed on by Taki, Ishu, and Vert. You blink and you missed it. Now they are in control of things here, and they're really starting to push through. Look at the big find here. Vert with the recap. Now max material. My gosh. They have everything they need to win this one here. Aiden Hound and Cerulean, though, thinking about that last game and what went wrong this time. They say, no, we're going to play low grounds and mids. No need for hype too soon here.
Even finds a new misform. That's basically 4 extra charges. A lifeline there in the back pocket as a just in case. As Vert each out Taki, they got the high ground, have not looked back. They continue to pressure every single team down below them. Does not want to let second height even think they have a chance, forcing them to burn through their match as G-Money, Rise, Aviv continue to dominate the low ground. 3rd elimination so far. They're trying to have that calm, cool, collected demeanor to make their way through the rest of this game.
So 20 players up here, 11 duos or trios, teams kind of mixed in this end game right now, and really showing you how much players are able to go the distance right now. One thing's for certain though, high ground is big chilling, and this is what happens when you get zone. They have so much mats to play with. Seems like just favoritism kicking in for them, but Broken Void and King find another knock here, but no, lose a teammate in the process. The lobby's starting to look back towards them, and he tries to get a little bit of his teammates loot, but no chances, no time for it. And just like that, they're done and out. Aviv, G Money, and Rise starting to look good for them. Aiden and Hound as a duo, playing very well here. There's the finish onto Liam. Misform here, still has a lot of options to play with.
Fortunate enough, those weren't his actual eliminations, so no side for him to keep him alive. Blue's already down. Zonda and Power trying to smoothly move through the low ground, but Power gets caught out at the tail end. Now Zonda's gonna be left by himself. A battle versus Day on the other side, and the tables have turned from being aggressed on to trying to run away, but he's still gonna go down. A bunch of these teams that we just saw in full getting torn apart, stuck as duos, stuck as solos, but in the clouds right now. Taki, Isha, and Bert, they have not been challenged. The Shining Span Bridge has been a huge thorn in every player on the low ground side.
Yeah, G-Money and Rise and Aviv playing very well low and mid-ground here. However, starting to run a little thin on the material counts. They're going to all drop back into the storm here. Okay, very interesting play right now. Popping Chug Jugs as a trio, then probably looking to misform, retake the high ground team. Oh, here it comes. Things are going to get very interesting here.
2 full trios and a duo, most of them crashing down below onto that low ground. Down goes Rise. Aviv is getting a little bit of redemption as he runs into 20 there. Great shot can be fired off as 20 goes down as well. That's going to be a wipe onto that trio, but you can see up above, they've just been waiting for this. They let them fight. They used it as a distraction. Now Taki, Bert, Icho are in full control.
They were just too patient, taking their time, recognizing that they shouldn't jump the gun too soon, and this is a win waiting for them to claim right here. A couple of mats, though, are left. Mistform goes on up. Vert has to get contested here. It's all going to come down to this smart fight for G Money to take, but Vert finds the tag to win the game.
That is a big game for them. The zone pulled over towards Shining Span early on. That's where they picked up some of the first eliminations of the game, and they set up shop from zone to zone from there on out. Monster, they didn't even waste their time going for high ground in the 8th zone, not even in the 9th, but it was the 10th zone. They timed it perfectly, knowing that team up there was wasting all of their resources.
Storybook finish for them. You just can't emphasize the importance of that critical elimination at the Shining Span, giving them an abundance of material to play with, and then the zone pulling that way. It just doesn't get better. Get it from their perspective. I mean, it just looked like easy walk for them in the park here. And really, you got to give them a lot of credit. They played smart, slow, and steady, because you saw Aviv and Rise trying to time the retake, but Ishu, Taki, and Vert played the smart and had a lot of high ground there, giving them that distance.
And this is where G Money tried to contest, but it was too little, too late. 17th finals for Vert, for Taki and Ishao. This is going to be their second appearance in the Major 3 Grand Final. Zeke, Kelly, Vivid, what do you guys think of all that action?
Guys, they treated this like a grand finals endgame, right? That's that sweet spot you want to be in when there's all this kind of chaos happening on the different layers, people changing, jumping, dashing all over your screen. Being able to find that calm in the storm and really zone in and just play your game has led them to now from game 1, right? They were 5th place going into that game, right? We were kind of talking about them before we went to that break, like, oh man, maybe, like, though they're on the edge, like maybe they just gotta kind of keep going. Nah, they just turned around and said, hey, look, Victory Royale, let's just treat this like a grand finals lobby. Let's do what we need to do. And they come out with a win.
I mean, it was exactly what Jacob was talking about, where they saw the high ground around zone 9, actually what we're watching right now, and just saw just kind of how shambles high ground was. No one was really claiming it for their own. So they were able to take that high ground just a little bit late, and not just take high ground, but also take it at a very low zone, I should say, where they had a lot of opportunity to kind of get eliminations towards the mid ground, grab those refreshes, and then be able to hold high ground for the rest of the game. And then they kind of just waited for the rest of the lobby to get those eliminations. I know that a lot of people say high ground wins games, low ground wins tournaments, but for, the group stages, they don't need to worry about winning a tournament. They just need to worry about winning the game.
And I feel like everything Kelly just said right there could be, you could put more emphasis on that, simply, being the fact that it's like, oh, wow, they took high ground early on, right? And we've seen some teams kind of fail to do that earlier on because it's just hard to maintain the materials kind of needed to do that. But again, we're talking about a team here that just made it to their second FNCS finals, right? 2 of the players on this trio. That type of win that we just saw is something that we kind of expect out of like one of our more experienced teams, right? Like maybe like Acorn's trio would have won a game like that, right? Especially early on in the game. In the day, game number 2. So this trio, the story seems almost too good to be true sometimes, making it to their first FNCS final last major, following that up with a game like that to make it into the finals again. They look good.
I've written a script or 2, not a big deal. Anyway, let's go to a break. When we come back, only 3 games left to go before group 1 closes, so stay tuned. You won't want to miss any of the action. Welcome back, everyone, to the FNCS. With 2 games down, we only have 3 left to go, but there's still plenty of action ahead of us. So let's talk about that last game, right? More chaotic than before, but still some amazing plays coming out. There was some hiccups along the way as well. We're looking at, Aviv and company. Talk to me about this last game. What might have gone well, maybe bad? What do you guys think?
I think that it wasn't necessarily bad for this trio. I think that they actually had a pretty good run through the mid game, or the end game there, staying on the mid ground. They do a really good job with this. They aren't like the other trios where they kind of stick to the ultimate low, especially when you're going over water. It's so risky to stay on that low ground, so they stuck to the mid ground. They were able to kind of get these little picks and eliminations here and there, but truly for me, it was the preparation that they had for the end game. They understood that they didn't have that many mats, so they need to make sure that they had a ton of heals for the end game, and that's what allowed them to survive close to the very end.
Yeah, I mean, how different are games 1 and 2 for this trio, right? Like game 1, they were shambles, had low mats, 7 zone, had to keep playing aggressive, which led to so many eliminations for them in that game. And then we kind of tune in with them this game, and right, going into the end game, only 3 eliminations kind of in the 11th zone. Such a big difference. When we actually tuned in with them, I think it was around like 9th zone, they had 0 eliminations and plenty of mats, so played it completely differently throughout the middle game. Worked out perfectly. For sure the most consistent trio right now.
Okay, I like it. And of course, because of that, remember, so if you look at those top points, right, 1,000 to 150, that just means it qualified, right? So right now, as we stand, Aviv, G-Money, Rise, they're technically in like first place, right? Currently looking really good. We wanted to highlight as well 7th place, Aiden, Carillion, and Hound in that last game, doing again, kind of the difference from game 1 to versus like game 2. These trios just really coming alive, right? Like, I don't know if it's that pressure. Maybe it's just like first game jitters, or like, who knows? Maybe going into the first game, just like, let's just see what kind of happens. But game, 2 for this trio, very, very strong showing.
Yeah, especially with just kind of how weird that end game was. I do appreciate the fact that they were able to play it so well. And one of the there's only 2 players out of this trio that have actually made it into an FNCS Grand between Aiden and Hound. Carillion is one of the more green players that we have. So seeing him being able to kind of keep up with the rest of the players, although he did go down a little early, is definitely a great showing for the potential that he has going on into the future.
Yeah, also a way for them to kind of show off, hey, listen, first game, we were going for the high ground, didn't necessarily work out. Let's completely flip the script in that regard and go for the low ground right now. Of course, sometimes when you are forced into a duo situation to try to clutch up, you do kind of force yourself down, right, to kind of sneak about. But yeah, speaking about trios kind of going down and force themselves into peculiar situations, Agers, Acorn, and Pollo kind of going down extremely early that game. But I do gotta go ahead and say, Zeke, that the fact that they went down early in game number 2 and effectively got almost 0 points, they had a couple eliminations, they're still in second place on that consistency leaderboard, right? It's just like one game. Game 1 was so good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, they could kind of have this weird game where we're against Surge and we're like just making plays, and you have games 1 where they give 17 elims in the second place. Like, I don't know what's going on, but who knows? Maybe they'll just say, all right, Zeke, we're just messing with you. We'll get a victory royale. We'll see. Game 3 is ready for us. So casters, take it away.
Yeah, don't let those points confuse you, right? When the 1,000 kicks in, that means they won, so you don't really have to worry about them anymore. And it does matter about who's consistent afterwards.
Yeah, and I'm kind of using the EU as a blueprint earlier on today. It was 189 points to get into that top 5. Some of our teams are already close to that threshold, but others, there's still 3 games left. And I was kind of talking throughout the course of that game. There's so much action, not only through the end game, but throughout the entirety of the matches.
Yeah, and you know what? With game 3 here, I mean, there's only a couple more opportunities, Jacob.
Yeah, and hopefully, they really take it in stride. Acorn, Agers, Pollo, they're a team, whether they win the game or kind of continue through consistency. They have what it takes, and only a few points shy. But I'm looking at so many other teams, and with the Battle Bus ready to go, this is the 3rd game, the halfway point. So let's get into it. As I continue to kind of look down the list, it's rather stacked, from 8th place, 74, 72, 66. Mere difference is just a couple of eliminations. Staying alive from top 17 to top 12 could really play a pivotal role throughout game number 5 as we close out the day. But this is the halfway point, game 3. And so hopefully a lot of these teams really start to make these moments count.
Gotta make the moments count. Gotta make every single game earn you as much as possible, but hopefully pull that victory royale through. You know, again, and we talk about when you win the round, new draw spots open up, right? Teams get pushed out of the lobby, so there's less to worry about, which means you have more flexibility. If something isn't working, maybe you can kind of adjust your strategy. Jump into the Flooded Frogs, though. King, Void, and Broken in that same standoff as before. This time, it seems like Priscilla learning from the Game 2 error there, sticking with the team now, opting to go ahead and play the opposite side and then, you know, kind of swing around, possibly rotate a little bit earlier here. Give themselves a true chance for game number 3.
That's just the unfortunate thing is just kind of see the loadouts on one side from the other. Bunch of Sentinel pumps for Void, Broken, and King for the most part. Down below, it just kind of seems like a bunch of SMGs, ARs, kill switch revolvers. So it's not necessarily the best loadout from that split drop. The biggest thing that they do have on their side is the amount of shields that they do have, from minis to bigs, all of them effective 200 shield and HP.
Big moment right here, big opportunity. This is essentially the point in the tournament where you can still turn things around. After this, it becomes an uphill battle and really puts all the stress on pulling through with the victory royale. If you're a team like King, Void, and Broken, though, you've earned so many points. You just want to kind of coast to the end of the tournament at this point. Lucky Turbulence and Amen have to find something big here and now, but Lucky T gets crushed right there with the big tag. Baloney, BJ, and 919. Finds himself for the first time in the early game, kind of on the back foot here. Again, this is a fight we've seen now for the last 3 games, and it seems like the team to the north, is that Paid 14 potentially coming down pretty quickly? Yes, it is in their team. Last time, they missed the chance to get the ambush. This time, they're coming even sooner.
Yeah, they know they just can't let these damage opportunities, even if they don't get the eliminations, pass them. As Lucky T's able to get the drop on a 919. That's a quick elimination there. Just trying to wait, make sure his teammates are good before it all gets cleaned up as they pounce on the other 2 players that are going to be left alive. No big eliminations just yet. Here comes Pay Quick and Boogeyman. They close the distance in the blink of an eye, and now they have the high ground, which is a huge advantage in these types of fights.
A smart play here. Pay's going to go into builds. A little risky for him, but gets the cutoff opportunity here onto Lucky. Now, looking for the sandwich. Pay playing the side angles here. Kind of the lurking opponent of this team here. Boogeyman, though, gets the first full hit there. Amin tries to go around. Not good. Boxed up. Sent back, and then Lucky, where are you going, buddy? It's over for him as well. As fast as it started, that fight concludes. To the south, though, TK's team seems to be hearing what's going off in the distance, possibly thinking about swinging on up. Meanwhile, Panda, Venox, and Luke come in with the Flooded Frogs, sticking to their strategy of coming through for fights, but this is the first time there's 6 players up still here. This fight never concluded.
Because the sewer tunnel is underneath, it's not going to be easy for anybody to really get too much of an advantage in some of these fights, especially if they continue to drop down below, but I might have spoke too soon. Does look like Priscilla does get locked. That's Ian, gets cleaned up by Luke. They move on over to try to get the rest, but all 3 of them back into the same box. Mafia, Shades, they're there as well. Their full trio is waiting on the other side of these builds, waiting to pounce.
Yeah, Mafia thinks he's not, you know, spotted out there, but no, this team has full awareness. Mafia might be the first to fall. He definitely is. Tex and Hades now has to turn this one around. Nice cone up, but Luke slips out the box with a dash. Well timed for him. Meanwhile, on the low ground, Hades back against the wall, looking for Panda Season. Doing a great job here fending off the team so far. They seem to be the better fighters, but counted up too soon here.
It's actually perfect usage by the dash right there. He got his P stolen away. He's able to dash, dodge the shot, stay alive a little bit longer. And this was a good opportunity for Teeks and Hayes. Even though they did lose their teammate Mafia, you have to know that there was so much damage there for them to clean it up. And that's why I liked how aggressive they were actually getting. But just a couple of seconds, that's all it took. They all kind of converged into the same box to make sure that they could heal up while a couple of them hold the pressure out. So that one's going to be a full disengage as Focate goes down. Hypers and Luck and Dog, they're still going to be left up. They're going for a straight revive play to try to save their teammates. But look at Monster, their material count, they are very, very low on resources.
This is bad. This is just bad news here. trying to stick the res. I can appreciate that, but Liam gets in there. Why not get the re-knock for good measure? Siphon kicks in there. That's going to keep him more than adequately healthy here. And you know what? They're happy with the one knock. Somehow, the team slips away, though.
Uh-oh. Doesn't want to let him go away for too long. That's Faux Cake. Trying to survive, popping the minis. He knows the fight is going to be inevitable, so instead of trying to run, he's trying to use the little time that he has to at least get into fighting shape. Then a couple bunches back as he misforms straight up to the mountain yet again, but it's not going to be easy with the time it takes for that second charge to come out. Around 12-second cooldown on those charges to use the misform. Faux Cake, unfortunately enough, just was not able to create enough separation.
Crazy. If he would have just got up and over that mountain, he might have actually survived, but blocked out there. Meanwhile, on the other side, what's happening here? Eulogy and team kind of eyes on Pollo, Acorn, and Agers. Pollo, Acorn, and Agers playing this a bit differently now. I don't think they were happy with the lack of damage in the previous game. They're probably thinking to themselves, all right, guys, let's turn on the heat here.
As they don't find a fight, Liam, Madden, and Trio just continuously going from one to the next. It's a whole nother team. After they finish off, I think, an elimination onto Faux Cake. Now they're looking for more, and this is what Kelly was talking about, the AoE with those dash sprites. So now Madden's going to get 3 from somebody else's resources, seeing Woods run away, and that's going to allow them to easily close the distance with the dashes, the Surf Cube. Liam, I should be able to put pressure on the Woods here soon.
Surf Cube would have been excellent right there to go ahead and kind of surprise Woods, but doesn't even need it. He's got his team kind of coming at all different angles. These could be eliminations that lead them straight to A rank right here, but hold up. Woods, though, putting up a good fight. Could have honestly turned the tide there for a second. Still healthy as well. 161, though. My gosh, the double shotgun shots here from Madden and Liam. Going to wrap that one up.
Wondering how a fight like this started. And oh my, Madden with the DMR, 2 back-to-back headshots, just melting the HP and shield, getting the knock, and that kind of basically boosted up the confidence for them to push on over. Back on over to the resistance base side of the map, northwest, and you're seeing at least 4 teams directly here north of the resistance base, and you're seeing at least a solo player on the eastern side of the mini-map. So at least 5 teams kind of converged in this small location. It is in zone, so not too much to worry about just yet, Monster, but if it pulls away, it's going to be tough for this rotation to happen.
Yeah, that was a successful reboot onto Mafia there. So well played for them. They're kind of back in the game, but damage likely to be very, very dire. G-Money rising to Vive. Dash is ready to go. Fully in action mode here. Taking their rotates. Pollo, Agers, and Acorn. No strangers to the storm this time, though. Again, looking for a bit more damage than they picked up last round. Oh, they're going straight for it.
Yeah, they know somebody's down there. And typically Canyon's Crossing, if you're in Canyon's Crossing at least, not necessarily landing here, it's almost like a sign of weakness, I should say. That you're low on loot, you're looking for scraps, you may not have as much shield or mobility that you were hoping for up to the spot. And I think that's what's kind of building the confidence for Pollo, Agers, and Acorn in this situation. They just have to figure out exactly where they're at. You see the superhero rank, that's going to give them a couple of extra heals there at the bottom. If they have the med miss smoke, all teams can use them together.
I was gonna say, I like this though. Like, you got this team up top, kind of hidden out here. 2 med miss, ready to go. So a lot of options, but the moment they drop that, the gig is up.
And they know that's Pollo, Acorn, and Agers because of the medallion. Then I kind of agree with them. You know,
Wow.
I tell people I don't play solos because you're gonna watch me hide in the cone. Well, sometimes hiding in the cone, Monster, is just the best option, especially
Look at this.
when that medallion is there.
Look at the map. They allowed their teammate to even get knocked. They're like, nah, we rather res chain. We're not gonna med miss. We're not gonna show them where we're at all. And they wait to the very last second. That is hilarious, but also well played. It was the right decision, clearly.
Kind of almost brings me back to the last major where Peter would drop the medallion for Agers to try to contest clicks. These are the storylines that we're talking about major from major. These are the tricks underneath some of these teams' sleeves that they're waiting for. Group stage might be too early, Monster, you know as well as I do, to show absolutely everything, but at least we're getting a little bit of a tease of what we might see in the Major 3 finals.
Oh, most definitely. There's going to be a lot of small, nuance and plays up the sleeves, especially when you start getting into grand finals lobbies, right? The roster changes, the best teams are in the best drops. There's different predictability at that point. Yeah, grand finals. Stay tuned for that. That's gonna be crazy. But Acorn, Aegis, and Pollo keeping the pressure here now. We know exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to get a fight going. They find Zonda here the moment they enter into the safety of this next area.
And one of the things I've noticed here, actually, that is drastically different from games 1 and 2 is, you remember the island spawned over towards Foxy Floodgates. Agers, Pollo, Acorn signed up a line, kind of a triangle in different spots around those mountains and the island to get Surge. There is no island over towards Foxy Floodgates this time around, so they're going to have to change up their strategy. Instead of sitting on the island safe, shooting down for Surge, it looks like they're just taking a full 180. They're going aggressive. They're fighting team after team after team as they make their way towards that island.
Little hold happening here for Havoc, Jargo, and Silic. Team behind them, actually, they don't even have wind of that trio. They're focused more on the fact that G Money has high ground here on the mountain across from them. Still have yet to use that misform. Might have to if they don't want to burn through all these big shields here. See how it plays out for Jargo.
So bad. Reboot happen where you kind of think it's relatively safe over towards the top side of the map. But Booga, Craze threats, they always rotate on the slow edge of the zone, and that's where they were able to find 2 more eliminations. It's not a ton when it comes to that Storm Surge, but that's 2 more eliminations worth of points, boosting them further and further up the leaderboard. Remember, it's win and you're in through 5 games, or the top 5 on that leaderboard through consistency, so every single point matters. So that's a crucial find for them, even if they're not able to find that 3rd and final player.
Right, and that pushes them straight into A rank, as you can see there as well. So really set up for success here. Still opting to play this kind of outskirts. You can see off in the distance a player misforming. Not too pressed to push, but the tags are going to be welcome. Surely they've done enough. 4 elims is plenty of damage worth.
Oh no. Another one of these fights. And it's in the zone with some elevation towards Flooded Frogs. Got to be very, very careful. Exactly this will happen. Other teams inside of their bases are going to look over and see this as an opportunity to get some free damage, especially since they are so distracted. But Quick Boogie Man to pay. They separate themselves. Even though they try to attach themselves to that elevation, they pull themselves off a little bit because they know the threat of getting pushed is around the corner.
Yeah, Boogie Pay and Quick here definitely making the most out of this game. This is the, I think, furthest we've seen them coming into kind of a mid-game situation here, as their early games were a bit dicey. Threats, Craze, and Booga, though, waiting for Storm Sickness at this point. You better get out of here. It's gonna get sketchy. Oh, talking about sketch, though. Hold up. Big tags coming through. Where's the whites for threats? Hold up. There it is. Medmiss forced to come out here. That's earlier than they would have liked.
Looking like a different Pollo, Aegis, and Acorn as well. Continuing their aggressive story. They have the exotic Sentinel pump. And if you guys don't know, every time you hit a shot, it kind of goes between 1 or 2 abilities. It gives you kind of the pepper effect, or it slows your opponent down. And in the hands of someone like Pollo, being able to land multiple shots on multiple players throughout the course of a fight, those effects will kind of slow things down on your opponent's foot. Kind of allow someone like Agers and Acorn probably just get that final elimination, the knock shot. So you're seeing a lot of the utility being grabbed from them, whether it's a mythic, exotic weapon. They have everything that they need and more.
Yeah, one of the best sound effects, too. Very rewarding. Hit a tag with that shoddy, but Day here coming online. Okay, not bad at all. A little knock to go ahead and give them some cushion to work with. Siphon's going to give him plenty of time to go ahead and decide what he wants to do with his loot here. Jack and Boji already on the move here, but they're a team lurking. Blizz kind of coming back here. Boji absolutely spotted out. Oh, wait. That build there, a little bit of a troll for Darzy, giving away their position. So Boji on high alert after that one. Cut off. I like the play, but Jack and Day are coming back here to support. Using that dash as well, so truly forced to commit here at this point.
Yeah, perfectly
They
timed.
want
They
the
were trying
fight.
to close the distance. To try to save their teammate. Exactly that. But there's a whole nother team. I'm not even sure they saw them as they kind of rotated in front of them. They know with the zone pulling further and further towards the north, even though there's not much distance with how stacked this side of the zone is, they're overall south because they're even rotating into a few more teams. The timing is definitely of the essence. They have over 700 damage above the threshold, so that's not going to be a worry in the back of their mind. But Boogie, Pixie, they're below along with Avenger. One of them's going to get knocked and get above the damage threshold. They just need to figure out a way to slow things down and survive though.
Yeah, they kind of have to take that fight. Look, this is a fight for storm damage here. That storm surge online, giving the warning. Zoom, Darzy, and Fliz needed it as well. What an opportunity for them where it was almost all over. That trio kind of collapsing in was the thing that they needed. Who would have thought? Meanwhile, Day and team off to the side, kind of watching it all go down. Trying to, I guess, analyze the situation, right? Feel it out. What all just unfolded? Where do these two teams come from?
Yeah, that positional awareness as well, kind of knowing where everybody's at, especially when these zones continue to pull towards the north and then a far eastern pull on top of that one. Knowing that everybody, including Pollo, Ages, and Acorn, that were positioned on the western side of the map is going to have to make that long rotation on over. And some are realizing also that timing is of the essence. You want to start to rotate quick, especially if you already have accumulated that storm surge throughout the course of that game, because you don't want to be one of those teams that's just held out by the majority of the lobby.
There are so many teams on the heels of Aegis, Acorn, and Pollo. No one has shot yet. That's how far this zone is. Everyone's like, all right, you know what? They don't know we're here. I'm good with that. Let's rotate. Finally now, Aegis, Acorn, and Pollo feel comfortable enough to start turning on the gas pedal. Coin dropped right there for the shields for Pollo. They gotta move though.
Did you see that stat that popped up? Did you see that stat? Throughout the entirety of Major 2, they didn't take a single hit of Storm Surge. Today alone, they've gotten 31 ticks of damage from Storm Surge. A huge change up of the game plan of Aegis, Acorn, and Pollo. Something you wouldn't necessarily expect, especially considering he's one of the best IGLs. Bait, Ian, Mikado's 175 below the damage threshold with active surge. Priscilla, instead of getting knocked, is going to go down. Bait's going to have to figure out something here because he's now getting ticked by the zone itself and Storm Surge. Oh,
Yeah,
no.
he couldn't survive much longer, it seems. Falls into Storm there. Aiden and Hal team are going to be the gatekeepers here on the edge. Peeking out, don't quite catch visuals onto Moncadios, but man, this player's 390 below. It's a matter of time. Let's just see who's going to go ahead and find this elimination here at this point. There it is. Aegis gets awarded.
Just peeking around at the right time, right-hand corner. And there was basically 2 eliminations worth of damage. Big hill to climb, but at least he can kind of rethink the strategy with the rest of the team for game number 4. 257 damage, though, above the threshold for TK, Byla, and Larson. 39 points so far. Not where they would have expected to be, but with this game and 2 more left to go, all it takes is one big moment, a couple of big plays, few eliminations to really change the difference. But 6 below for Luckin, Hypers, and Focake. They take a few ticks of that Storm Surge, and now it's just going to get exponentially harder if they don't find that damage.
I like the med miss play here, but Storm Surge is online. They got to make a play here now. This is bad. Nothing but bad intentions from Huga side too. You see the shots coming in, the pressure's online. Great tag there. But already other players join in on the action here. The frenzy of shots and fire. Huga's team's going to be the first to secure loot. TK, Byla, and Larson, though, also below the surge. What all went wrong for them?
At least they're above now, 32. Playing the disaster down below, continuing to trade shots. Any damage is better than none. Now looking off to the distance, seeing a full team rotate on by, but because of that misform, they're going to be relatively safe. Majority of that way through. Shots able to sneak in, but 98 above. They're figuring out a way to just get a few shots to connect, even if it's not a massive confidence-building moment. As a V Rise, G-Money able to steal away that elimination. Almost 1,000 damage above the threshold. Eliminations for them isn't even about surge, it's about resources.
A lot of mats fall in there. Isla, Larson, and TK find a refresh as well. And another team, what just unfolded for this squad is kind of going through enemy builds. That's the danger. Gotta be careful there. Byla levels up to his layer. And now all of a sudden, they're really in this game here. Zone's gonna pull further and further south though. Aegis, Boyo, and Acorn just master rotates here time and time again. This game really going in their favor so far. Seem to be in full control at the moment of the end game here. Another team is gonna fall to them. It's OG. Seems like it was just a matter of time. Jack caught there too. Day escapes, but for how much longer? Another missed third as well here, Jacob.
They're just looking like they're just making up for that last game. I think they got relatively low points, if any at all, and they say, well, now we got to go ahead and get 2 games worth of points here. If not the victory royale, they can take the rest of the day off. As we look in the clouds, just figuratively and literally, it's Threats, Craze, and Booga. But the 8th zone monster, we've already seen it happen today. It might be entirely too soon for them to invest a ton of materials.
Yeah, you know what? I think they're desperate. You know, after those first 2 games, not finding the placement points they needed, Booga, Craze, and Threats are, you know, again, almost trying to force the win condition at this point. We'll see if it's the right decision. There's still the big names left in the lobby, like Boyo, Aegis, Acorn, G-Money, Rising. Of course, you know, being very much situated there ahead of them, so I'm a bit concerned, but so long as, you know, Boyo, Acorn, and Interesting on the low ground, I think they'll be okay up there.
Great damage on the Byla. They get the knock on the TK. Larson's down as well. Byla just needs a miracle here to survive outside of the zone. Luckily for him, there's fallen bodies of his teammates. He's able to get as much of the resources as possible, but in comes TK. In comes Teeks. They're able to take them down. That's a huge loss there on the other side, but for Booga, Craze, and Threats, that's a huge win. They're able to get damage, eliminations, and they're able to rotate here much safer on the high ground.
Aviv, G-Money, and Rise at the front side of zone, but Boyo, Acorn, and team are going to be rotating right behind them, so this is going to all unfold here, and now you see them kind of cutting them off. Aviv, Rise, and G-Money, look at their perspective. Very situated, big material, going through the metal right now. They can, you know, kind of can. They have all the luxury to do so.
From right in front to a team above, Pays getting targeted out. That's Craze who actually gets the elimination points for that, even though it's Rise, G-Money. And the trio is able to get all of that loot for that fallen body as Boyo, Aegis, Acorn still dominating the low ground. It's 2,000 above the threshold. It's more about winning a game. It's about proving a point. It's about making a statement for them.
Argo, Havoc, and Scylla. It's another team you got to look out for here. No strangers to high ground. They got Mistform as well. Plenty of options to go ahead and work around with here. All this low ground layer too. Sandman, 20, and Northern kind of sneaking into the conversation. We haven't said much about them, but they've been one of the most consistent trios on the day right now. Aegis, Acorn, and Boyo find another elimination. This is going to pull them up to 10. There it is. At double Elim worth of points there earned already here. Really starting to rack up.
They even got the upgrade from Superhero S+. Every boon they didn't have before, they do have now. That just makes them a stronger team than before as they make the sacrifice. Rise, G-Money, and Aviv, they go deep into the front of zone. They drop the men in the smoke, and they wait for it to catch up. A 200 IQ play. On the other side, though, they're still looking to get aggressive, and now they're knocking on the door. Rise, G-Money, and Aviv down below. They get distracted, though, for a moment, trying to find a path and exit while every other team is trying to do the same thing. That's just more loot for them to get for themselves, but they're taking their time, Monster, because down below, there's a full trio waiting for them to drop down.
You can see the effects of the dashes coming out there. So Boyo fully aware of what's all happening below them. Aviv, G-Money, and Rise, though, playing for placement points here. I think they're just trying to say, hey, look, we can solidify our way to grand finals here through consistency. We've done enough to stay alive at this rate. The rest falls into place here. pieces to the puzzle. Front side is perfectly timed for them. Out of material though now, so they will be forced to collapse here shortly into a trio. Pollo, Agers, and Acorn taking full advantage of these tarps here, walking their way across this heavy material right now.
Acorn cutting off the path on the other side as well. Pollo's just following, say, hey, where do you need me, Captain? Even Ager's almost getting boxed up. But Pollo there to save the day yet again, dropping the medallion, changing hands, making sure that Agers is healthy because they know how chaotic this end game is. And Jarglu's feeling it as well. Two of his teammates both go down. That's a lot of pressure on him as a solo to try to get some placement points from up, down, all around, inside of his cover. The zone is going to be the one, after all, to take him down.
Couldn't even shoot his way out. Aviv, though, trying to do the same. Misforms his way out the back half of the box there and into the new storm he goes. 6th place so far. Things kind of crumbled for him a moment ago. Waiting for that Misform to go in and turn online here. Siphon was available, but doesn't get it in time there. Couldn't find the shot. Meanwhile, Bugha, Threats, and Craze. We haven't gone up to what's happening there, but Pollo, Agers, and Acorn say, give us a second. We'll show you what's happening up here. Pollo putting on the edit course for us to witness here. Gets pieced though by Craze and Threats. And just like that, it should be their game to win. It's a 3v1 happening here. Tex on the low ground, doesn't know what all just happened. Here comes Threats to go in and close the deal. Puts the edits out, boxes him out, finishes the game with a nice tag and a shotgun shot there, and they'll be going straight to grand finals.
Yeah, that's almost history in the making. That is a 26 grand finals appearance for Bugha, only missing out on one. And on the other side, that's Craze, the newest player on this team. They made the decision, him or Rapid, and so far it's working out. That's going to be his 5th FNCS final appearance.
Very good game by them. You know, they played it very well. Textbook, as one might say. But, you know, at the end there, I gotta say, Acorn, you know, bravo. You know, he was like, hey, we know who's on high. Let's just go take a full-on fight. Let's have some fun with this one. And Pollo tries to pull out the edit course, but in the end, the Rats, though, plays it so well. Shuts him down there.
Right there was just kind of the Antiques. Yeah, he was able to at least get, I think, an elimination point on top of that. And for Teeks, you know, one man's trash is another man's treasure. He pulled up, was able to get a good amount of placement points, but it's Bugha, Threats, and Craves that made their way to the grand final. Zeke, there's only 2 spots left, though.
Why would you say that, Jacob? Why would you remind me that we don't have many games left? You're supposed to just let me look through my rose-colored glasses, okay? All right? Also, because Bugha won, you know there's only one thing I have to do. Congratulations, Bugha. We're going to be seeing you in grand finals, baby. Let's go. Oh, you thought I was going to do... No. See?
I
gotta keep
did.
your toes.
You got me. You did get me.
That was good. That was good. That was surprising. And not as surprising, though, as seeing Threats, Craze, and Bugha get the win on game. Oh, there it is. Thank you. Thank you, Zeke. And much as we could predict that coming out, we could also predict the win coming from Bugha, Craze, and Threats. I mean, they just had pretty good games 1 and 2, but once they finally took the high ground in game 3, we knew that it was done and dusted for this trio. There was very little that could stand in their way, but what could stand in their way is Pollo's trio, but it kind of looked like Pollo's trio just kind of went up for fun, Vivid, if I could say that accurately, and just went for the W key to see what would happen.
You know, testing out the water, seeing, you know, who's up on high, seeing if they could pull out one of the little montage highlights right there. But hey, listen, Bugha, Threats, and Craze, putting all my worries away. Because I'm not going to lie, after game number 2, I didn't get to talk about it. Seeing them in 19th place, I was like, are they okay? Is everything going to be okay? Like, are they going to, you know? But, you know, winning game number 3, closing all of those doubts for me. Congratulations, Bugha, Threats, and Craze. No surprise.
Yeah, there was a moment, you know, I admit it, there was a moment where my faith kind of wavered, but I thought, you know what, no, this is, everything's fine. And then when I saw, you know, the Threats 1 piece up, I said, you know what, it's good. We locked it up. We're going to be seeing them in finals. So that's what we have to look forward to. Now, of course, as Jacob said, with only 2 games left to go in group number 1, how does this go? I mean, who else is going to get a VR? Who's going to end in top 5? Well, for now, we would go to a break. When we return, though, game number 4 awaits us, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the FNCS. We are excited. We are very excited because the last game, Booga got himself a victory royale, which means they're going straight through the grand finals. Congratulations to them. But there's still kind of these other two trios that seem to all be kind of fighting it out, and only ones that are left: Aviv, G Money, and Rise, Acorn, Aegis, and Poyo. So I'm assuming, if my script is correct, you know, one of these trios will win game 4, the other will win game 5. But Aviv, Rise, and G Money, man, they've just been really great. So like just in group number 1, they've been also incredibly consistent, not dropping a game outside of top 5, which is kind of crazy.
It is a little bit crazy when you kind of look at the competition that's entering group number 1. But then when you look at Rise, G Money, and Vive, and you kind of see the expertise that they have, the veteran knowledge of the game, you can understand why they are playing the low ground like they are. They are doing such a good job kind of following the rest of the lobby for these early game regressions and using those misforms right when they need to. Aviv just plays so smartly in these end games, making sure that he's staying alive, but also paying attention to where the rest of the lobby is. And I think a lot of that is due to him playing the mid ground. A lot of players like to play the low ground, going for those elims, but he likes to play the mid ground, which is just a little bit safer, but also allows you to have a lot more observation of what's going on below you.
Yeah, and those clutch moments before, but as a trio, right when they were alive, they did something so good in game number 3 right there that actually went ahead and clinched up that top 5 for them right there. Basically, what they're going to want to do is just continuously put themselves in the front of the moving zone, right? Not necessarily inside of the zone, but actually in the storm where the zone is going to go. Oh, how can they do that? How can they just set out in the storm? Because of the med miss, right? They had a couple of these this game, and they continuously kept doing this. Unfortunately, though, for the trio, right, I saw them, I believe it was on this one. Once they landed in the storm, they just got sprayed by so many different teams, right? It was so hard for them to kind of maintain and get anything kind of better than a top 5. You would imagine, though, continuously finding positions like that, they would actually be able to get something better than a top 5. Hey, 5th place is great, but it's just like, man, they were in the best position so many times, but yeah, that pressure just ended up being too much.
It's all good though, right? It's all good because they're still looking strong. 5th place right there, which is effectively 2nd. I know at times it can be confusing, but just think if we end in the top 10 overall of this leaderboard, that's basically our top 5, right? They are looking great. We only have 2 games left to go. I mean, look at the point differential, right? We just got to keep doing what we're doing. And of course, Aegis, Acorn, and Poyo. Yeah. So, you know, I think, listen, we've seen some very unique play from the boys, right? You know, game 1 come out, crazy 2nd place, 17 elimination. Game 2, Storm Surge. Game 3, we see who's on height. Let's just LOL charge them. Oh, I got pieced up. You know, I feel like we're having a good time. You know, we're having a good time. They're still 1st place. I think it's fine, right?
Zeke, you know, it's Sunday, which is commonly laundry day, and these boys are washed right now. I think it's over for them. I don't think they're going to make it into the grand finals. No, obviously, they're having fun. I don't know. You can speculate all you want. I'm sure that there's a lot of people that are going to say that what I'm saying is you know, slanderous, but I think that they're kind of just testing the waters right now. They're kind of seeing what the rest of the competition is doing, and they already know that they're so high up the leaderboard that they don't really need to go for that victory royale.
Regardless of Kelly doing laundry and everything like that, I think it's still pretty awesome to see, you know, when they want to go ahead and turn it on, they can very easily. I mean, games 1 and game 3 showing 18 eliminations, 17 eliminations. They've got way more eliminations than the rest of the competitors, and they've effectively kind of only played 2 games so far. So incredible stuff, showing why they are favorites throughout this year.
I'm just gonna chalk it up in like my mind's lore. You know, they're refining a strategy. They're utilizing a new secret strategy, and that's what we're seeing. That's it. That's what I made up in my mind. I hope you do the same thing. Okay. Anyway, game number 4 is ready. Okay, only 2 games left to go before we say goodbye for today. So, casters, take it away.
There's
No, it is
only
impressive,
2
though.
games left.
Jacob, I was just
That's
gonna say, it
what's
is
crazy.
impressive that few teams like Acorn can just go ahead and decide, hey, I'm just gonna practice right in my majors, in my heats.
Yeah, that's what I was even thinking to say. The practice. You talk about practice with kind of a lack of tournaments throughout the course of this season, 2 divisional cups. This is exactly what teams in their situation could start to do more and more often throughout the rest of these groups. But game number 4, 2 games left. Let's get right into the action. And this is where it really starts to get interesting here. With these 2 games left, I'm looking at the leaderboard right now, Monster. 2 points would separate a possible top 5 going to the grand finals and having to play through that LCQ. That is elimination difference. That's a singular placement point of difference. And then we haven't even touched on the topic of any of the teams inside of the top 5 get a win. That opens up a spot at the bottom of that consistency.
Yeah, at this point, I mean, Agers, Acorn, Boyo clearly have enough points to go out and hold a top 5 spot. If they just decide, hey, we're going to just like be very casual these next couple rounds, right? Really just play it out, try to continue to refine our strategies. They're going to take away a spot to the grand finals easily from someone else. But at the same time, they're kind of teeing up another team to take a dub, right? So it is kind of an interesting dynamic. And in any case, we will be seeing them at the grand finals. That's very clear. And one thing's for certain, everyone else that's not in that like 120 plus threshold point area right now, you got to turn online. You need a win.
Yeah, 100%. And this is kind of like one of those teams that I'm looking at as well that lands over here for the most part, contested drop. They're outside of that bubble as of now, but if they're able to win these fights a little bit quicker than when those third parties come in some of the games past, this could be that opening opportunity for them. This is where they're going to look to get aggressive and try to finish these fights. They've won almost every single one of these fights so far on today's games, barring a third party. As Ian takes the first shot, that's going to give him an opportunity to separate the rest of this team and try to converge with the numbers advantage. Back-to-back shots yet again coming out from King as they get another elimination and the eventual wipe.
And they're doing good right now. 122 points. That team wipe right there is going to propel them up big time. More cushion for them to continue to, you know, earn their way up the ranks right now. All they need here is a big end game, and they'll be a true shoe into the grands. On the other side, look at what's happening here. Again, this is a team that is played exceptional, right? You could just tell by their end game strategy, their positioning, you know, all the highlights that they've managed to pull through so far. Clearly a cut above the rest. The BG Money and Rise could become the first on NAC to place top 5 in all 5 group games, right? Possibly setting up a little historic run for themselves.
Yeah, especially since a couple of these guys are in the top 5 for overall damage throughout the course of these games. As Vixie, Boogie, and Avenger do find another elimination here down below on that low ground. Full team up above on that mountain, and even on the inside you see Cinemod in there just trying to get whatever loot is left behind. Have to be careful. Boogie knows now that somebody's here. Breaks that build. Cinemod just revealed his positioning in a 2v1. You know they're going to push forward. You know they want to try to seal the deal here.
Like the pressure coming out of Boogie, Vixie. Getting up. Gotta finish this quickly though. You know, too many teams like to lurk around these mountains here. Cinemod, tag from behind. There it is. What's happened there? I'm sniping that one up.
So they're doing a good job right now of being able to push them back, but with some arrows right behind, they're able to get a little bit of damage, but basically pushes himself into a 3v1. Teammates are there to try to close the gap. That's not Braden trying to alleviate some of that pressure, forcing both Boogie, Vixie, and hopefully Avenger's able to get down there as well. I don't want to kind of leave him out to dry. It does look like for a moment they did. Just a sliver of HP, Monster. How mad would you be at your teammates?
Not looking good though. Take a look at the angle. The 116. Big tag there on the Vixie. Oh, and it catches TYT off guard.
No.
What a play and a half. Then the finish. GG, Jacob.
Wow, that was actually a pretty big shot to hit, and Braden falls for the same thing. He's forced to go up and try to hide. Boogie's doing a good job of fighting back, but 3 versus 1. It doesn't take a mathematician to know that's just odds are so stacked against you. And now with that, they are going to be able to get Braden back on up. There's a reboot at the top of where they're currently at, so they should waste no time getting to it.
Keeping things interesting here. Look at that. What a clean little play right there. Getting fancy with it, using the zip line and everything. Oh no, we were celebrating Pay 14 Boogeyman and Quick's endgame last round. Look at that, they picked up 50 points last game or so, and ooh, right now the pressure coming through. Venox, Luke, and Panda find themselves almost in the quite literal same point threshold, so they're neck to neck here. Pay trying to escape now, but Panda's got so much resource to work with. Yeah, this is not looking good. Pay's gonna have to pull something big off right here. Gets cut off, doubles back through the builds, collapsed on, suffocated, and now about to get finished here. Boogie, you can see in the distance, just running for his tournament life here in game number 4.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. Boogie took so much damage to start that fight. He immediately ran away. And when Pei went to try to alleviate some of the pressure, they say, you know what, that's a 3v1. Just turn around, burn him down. And that's exactly what they did. But Boogie, if he has some extra HP, whether it's a Chug Jug, Med Miss Smoke, or Med Kits, not going to be hard for him to get his teammates back into the game. Shogun's Arena, the island does appear, and it's going to be no stranger at Poyo Aegis Acorn, a huge part of their game plan. And if they survive the contested off-spawn fights that we think we're going to see in the Major Grand Finals, this is exactly what they're going to be looking for as step 2 in their journey.
Yeah, they're having no problems. I mean, like we said before, what they're looking to is the land of gold. Let's be honest, right? Even this major right here is a matter of, one might even say, ego and preparation, right? So everything that I'm seeing right now is clearly pointing to the bigger picture.
Yeah, Poinator's top 2 in damage after 3 games, 4,200 damage and 4,100 damage. It's kind of neck and neck. Acorn to IGL, just kind of making sure that he stays one of the best IGLs in the history of the game. Sandman, Northern, and 20 towards Supernova. They were able to get some damage early on. I did see a knock go out into the distance. And with the zone pushing from north all the way towards the south, they're not going to make it a priority to rotate early. They're just going to make sure to look back at every single one of these teams just like this, knowing they're going to have to rotate first.
Quick update here. Larson by TK doubling back for an elimination now. They find just on the skirts of the zone. It's going to be 2 from whatever trio they were kind of engaged on.
Just another one of those zones that looks like it's pushing all the way towards the south, and I wonder how telling that island actually is, because you see last game, it didn't pull over Foxy. Acorn, Aegis, Poyo forced to rotate towards the north. That's where the zone pulled. This time around, Foxy does have the island, and it looks like the zone is pulling towards the south. So if anybody here else did their homework, probably setting up around this area. Kappa Kappa Factory, the Rainbow Field, the direction they're looking at, and even Utopia, where a new team honestly could be positioned at, as Booga, Craze, and Threats did win that last game.
Oh, most definitely. That's a dynamic that is for sure taking place right now. I mean, yeah, you know, you got to think about that too, right? 3 less trios already in the lobby, kind of loosens things up a bit here in the early game. Not as chaotic. It almost feels like we saw in those first 2 games, especially. Pretty noticeable, fast, action-paced early games for those, but G-Money and Aviv, of course, securing Aspire here. Going to be rewarded handsomely in a couple moments. Void, Broken, and King, though, doubling back to the Flutter Frogs here.
Rightfully so, they kind of won their contested fight. You see the 3 eliminations, just trying to make sure that they get every bit of resource out of there, because remember, because of these contested fights, they don't loot half of the POI themselves. They don't know what is left behind, so they're just trying to double check, make sure. You see a med kit up there. That one's definitely going to be useful, considering how deep into the zone they actually are. So are some of these other teams. Larson, Phylot, TK, they have 2 eliminations so far. And rotating away from Lone Wolf Lair. They're just trying to go towards the north, rotate towards the east, and then try to find a spot they feel comfortable in from there.
Hey, what, oh, I was going to say, what kind of play is that? Taking the 1 med kit, but they're close to the edge. Bala should be picking up the Mist form there in a couple moments. Bit of a standoff there at the time of the span. Ooh, tags from the side. Don't let your guard down.
Even I'm scratching my head like, where did that even come from? Probably top of the bridge, in a cloud, maybe even the bush here from Madden. Just goes to show like how dangerous those DMRs are. And throughout the course of the game, if you have the options, maybe zone 7, 8, you typically drop it for a Spyro or a Spy Rifle or a Fury AR so you can get that quick close range combat. But in the early game, you're seeing at least 2 DMRs, maybe 1 in every single one of these teams' loadout because how important Storm Surge actually is.
Jack Day and OG. I don't know how I feel about their overall performance so far. 69 points on the board here for them. Pretty tough game. Tight 2 games left ahead of them. Intiski and Woods, though, at the Utopia City. About to get into a lot of action here with Pure Map and Polo. Oh, Polo. Burst of ball there. A bad edit. Catches him off guard. And actually more tags from the distance, too, so... it seems to just be going downhill for them.
This team's got to be careful. There's another team directly in Utopia. You see in the mini-map, both on top and bottom, potential teams as well. Luckily for them, they are kind of in the center of the zone, so unless they're forced to be proactive for Storm Surge, which chances are one of the teams probably might be, they really don't have to risk too much at this stage in the game. Everybody else, though, you see Void, Broken, King still rotating in from the north. There's one more team over from Pump Power. They might end up clashing, but that's where a lot of teams start to build up that metal material if they haven't had it already.
Yeah, this team seems to be pretty capped off on most of their other mats at the moment. Hey, did Broken catch visuals on Preston here? Does look like he knows they are there now, rotating out. Trying to make a dash here to see if he can get a couple tags. This is going to be a big opportunity for him. Preston's very lit. Couple headshots from this fire rifle. That'll be all she wrote here.
Yeah, it's not much, but that superhero rank upgrade, you see kind of the HP going up 1, down 1, up 1. That's because they did rank up to A rank, not having to force out any of that HP just yet as we tune on Pollo, Agers, Acorn in another fight in Demon's Domain, so not too far off from their original drop spot. That's the tick there on the other side, but from up above, down below, Acorn, Pollo, they're trying to converge, sandwich onto 1. That's the tick there on the other side, and I think Agers has joined the fun as well. Luckily for him, he's trying to disengage with the dashes, but it's only going to help for so much. Agers is still going to be able to get that down. I think Acorn is going over to clean that one up.
Yeah, down body at the bottom of the builds as well.
Yikes.
Agers, interesting enough, every time we tune into him, he's got this 6 big pots. So you're just seeing kind of the strategy almost take form here, right? Whose role is what? Oh, look, Aloe. I didn't know where he was. He's kind of hiding out in the background there.
Okay, I see Kappa at the edge of zone. Probably the top of outpost. So it is kind of centering up for the most part. Demon's Domain is on the outskirts as well, on the western edge. So everybody right now on the north end, even on the northwestern edge of the map, still trying to find their spot. And that's where that edge of the zone is going to be so clustered. And you can kind of see the huge difference already. Silic, Jargo, and Havoc. Relatively nobody here on this side of the map. That's just because they're all on the north.
Happening on the outskirts, though. Luzon and Power. This little scenic rotate here. They're playing ultra dead side. They're going all the way around here. Not looking to take any risk. See the Spire. For the Shrine here in sight. Go ahead and replenish up. Still got a med mist to work with too, so we'll be just fine. Yeah, look at how there's no one in sight down here. If they, for some reason, need damage, I mean, they're cooked.
Yeah, I was thinking they're looking for the launch pad. Yeah, they gotta have to hurry up and get in there, because even if they're above the threshold, let's just say 1, 2, even 300, we know in the next couple of zones that can change in the blink of an eye. And the slower you are to rotate in, more and more teams will kind of take that priority positioning away from you, and you kind of get left whatever is going to be left over. Brilliant, Aiden and Hound. They have the blueprint for success so far today. Even though they haven't been able to execute and get that victory royale, they've gotten close. And if they could just figure out a way to mimic that, replicate some of that success here. Relatively good spot in towards zone as it does pull further and further towards the east, over towards Utopia City. They have the option to rotate early, get towards the zone, or wait and accumulate more surge as other teams have to rotate as well.
You know, they may not have picked up a lot of eliminations, but the placement points are very much kind of shining through on the overall points here. Same for Mafia, Tex, and Hades. This game, actually, surprisingly, they don't have any early game elims. They have been one of the few teams that have been consistently battling off the drop. Team right on their heels though. They might just be getting collapsed on here shortly. There's two angles at which this can all go down. Tex gets tagged from the west side here. The team behind him stops moving in their tracks. Like, wait a second, we don't want to get caught in between this canyon here. It's pay for a team.
I know we have the luxury of seeing it too. You see how many teams are on the edge that they're rotating towards as well. 82 below the damage threshold. So instead of focusing on just getting Storm Surge, they're going to try to get in towards the zone first. Find a spot that they feel comfortable with, and that's where they're going to try to accumulate some damage. Maybe even on this edge, knowing there is a team behind them, because that shots that we saw earlier on could be their opportunity. Might be the only safe one at least. Pollo, Aegis, Acorn, they already have the medallion from the island, and they have Havoc down as well. Their destruction of group number 1 continues.
Flexing at this point. 1,000 above here. None of the problems we saw kind of in that game too. Mafia hates the Tex though. You just watched them rotate here. I like that lurking play they were trying to set up, but it seems like team didn't end up tailing behind them. Fresh pickup though. Oh, I don't think he saw Boogeyman there. Missed edit now. Kind of keeps him exposed. Team Flyers back though. And there it is. They're pushing that solo that he saw.
Yeah, I think they kind of saw him at the last second, but they really had no choice. They couldn't go for. Ooh, nice shot into the stairs from 50 or so to 181, plus the elimination on top of that. And for Teeks, Hades and Mafia, they started this game at 132 points, 3rd place on the consistency. They just need to continue to have the same type of games that they're having, or at the very worst, just not go down early outside of placements. For G-Money, Rise, and Aviv, 208 points all but secured their spot as well over from the outpost. Things are looking good for a good portion of the lobby, but Naves, the Tick, and Aloe now have their backs up against the wall. Active Storm Surge, 180, drop down to 73. They're connecting with shots, but not fast enough to alleviate any of that pressure. Every 7 seconds, 25 damage. And on the other side of these boxes, Monster, it's Agers, Acorn, and Pollo. So it's going to get harder for them if they're fighting it out as Pollo claims the first.
Aloe fought so hard to save his team, pick them up, get them back in the game here, but 500 below the threshold there. I mean, there's only so much you can do, especially this late into the mid game now, as things are starting to really progress along. Pollo, Agers, and Acorn continuing to use these opportunities to just polish up and sharpen their steel. Look at that line right there. Plenty of material for the end game to come. Mafia Tex though and Hades, look at this, 400 below now. So although they've kind of inched their way through, find and have found opportunities to kind of stay in the game, this is where they've now fallen significantly behind. They will need to take this full trio fight. I like that they're doing it here and now before it gets in later, but this is not going to be easy at all.
Yeah, they did get that superhero upgrade throughout the course of that, but exactly what you said, 403. That's more than 2 full eliminations worth of damage. And it's just going to continue to get worse. The zone pulled towards the south, 456. They have an idea of a team right below them that they kind of want to jump on, but they haven't got the green line yet. And the more time that they waste in this situation, Monster, the harder it's going to be to get the surge and survive the rotation.
That A rank definitely giving them a lot of time alive. They're kind of playing with house money here, but tagged on the rotate. That's the setback you got to be careful with. The surge, of course, starting to add up here. Let's see if they can do something big here. They need to finish this team. No, they were waiting, ready, kind of block those shots coming in. This is it. Woods comes down, though, boxes him up. And the counter cone out of Woods there allows him to escape ever so briefly. Mafia finds a tag, needs the Siphon here to stay alive in the game. There it is. Jacob, they might be doing it somehow, some way. I mean, just a couple more seconds to survive, kind of live to see another day.
Just need Storm Surge to deactivate for a moment. Give him a chance to breathe and refocus their attention onto something else as Luke, Vinox, and Panda Season is just rotating away. That is their Storm Surge if they have any hope of getting it. And Hades goes down to Void outside of the Storm. Mafia's left by himself. 610 damage, and he's going to finally meet his maker here. But no, 3 HP and a dream. 23 seconds. Storm Surge will reactivate, Monster.
Oh my gosh. There it is. The miss for me was waiting for it to go there and cool down. No, tagged on the way, but hey, he earned, might have been a placement point, top 20 there, so wasn't for nothing, just battling through and through to the very end. Meanwhile, Vive, Rise, and G-Money, they want this refresh here. They find Liam and Flo on the outside of the zone, the full finish. Just collapsing on the teams. They get a big set of material there to go ahead and work with now. Jargo Silic, the last two alive on this trio, seem to have had a tough time with Surge themselves this last zone. Things are starting to heat up now. Get high ground though. Pollo, Agers, and Acorn. I think they had enough Fortnite for the night. They might be looking to pack this one up.
Hey, any team that's below the consistency leaderboard, 6th and on, you're kind of hoping
happy.
them, Aviv's team somehow pulls off the victory royale, because that kind of ushers everything upward. It opens up a spot at the bottom of consistency, and with how close it is, it could be anybody's game. Void, Broken, and King, one of those teams that I was talking about, started this game at about, I think it was 4th place on that consistency leaderboard overall, so they're definitely within reach inside of the bubble. They just need to solidify it here without these next 2 games.
Yeah, this is good. Good time to go ahead and punch out. Liam at Drizzy though, no. Caught on the move there. Again, you're just seeing the update of all the teams that are kind of in the running, but just having a really tough game 4.
Yeah, this is... I feel like every team that is inside of the bubble, except for 2, has been going down, has been facing so many difficulties. And while for them that may be a little bit of a curse, for everybody else below that leaderboard, that's a blessing. That just means the overall standings is to be that much closer at the end of the day. As another rotation, good portion of the lobby gets the front zone, but the rest is everybody's going to have to rotate back. Luckily for them, there's no active Storm Surge just yet, but that can change in the next couple seconds.
Yeah, if there's any time to stay consistent, get the big points is here and now, while so much of the bubble teams are potentially looking to fall here. I mean, those points around that 110 to 130 area is the sweet spot here for top 5 so far. Plenty more to earn though. Top 15 left here. 197 below for Jargo and Silic. Good defense from Madden though, and he's gonna shut things down there, possibly eliminating the dreams of Jargo, but no. Jargo, just 2 builds left, hiding out. Nothing there.
He's just simply trying to survive, but he gets caught out. 213 though. Aiden, Hound, Krillian. Instead of going for high ground too early, they're trying to dominate that low ground. But if you look up, it's Rise, it's Aviv, it's G-Money. They're on top of the world for now. But this is something we've seen already in games past. Hopefully they learned from their mistakes as destruction continues down below. Ager's looking to claim another one as they're putting pressure from box to box. Polio also closing in on that distance. Finally, they steal away one of those pieces and they take down Mako right after. That's a wish that he hopefully he can make it to that last game so they can qualify.
They're earning so many points right now. At this point, I'm questioning if they're even going to queue into the last game. They don't need to, but at the end of the day, they are popping off here and now. High ground, of course, Aviv, Rise, and G-Money situated comfortably. Void, Broken, and Kingdom. They've had a good run so far, and they're eyeing up an opportunity to try to take a win here. I like this level of commitment here, but G-Money and Rise want to go ahead and reconnect to their builds. It's all woods, though. That could be telling of the situation of our high ground trio.
I think it truly is, and that's exactly why they put so many pressure on the second height team. But down below, Foil able to clean up one elimination, but up above, that's a whole nother trio. But they're not backing down. In fact, they're moving forward step by step, just walking them down. One elimination has already been cleaned up. Two more trying to go out the side. Agers does have that cape, so he's going to be able to mitigate damage from the storage soon. Hound goes down. Aiden's going to be stuck with Carillion, trying to clutch this one out, and he finds a crucial elimination before falling.
Carillion trying to cap off here. Player right beneath them. Can he get the tag? Nicely done there. It's on today in the finish. And on the other side of the wall, another one waiting to happen. But Raw answers with a bigger tag. Siphon to keep him in the game. Meanwhile, the VG Money Rise, watching this all go down. They have no more mats, mind you, unless they've managed to find some way to pick something up. Yeah, look, they are completely on E here. What's the play for them? Acorn coming up. Yeah, this team has so many builds. This is all but GG. Acorn just cranking his way up. They want to win this game here and now.
There's just no Agers, so he's kind of doing it by himself because Poyo is kind of stuck. He's busy. His hands full with a whole nother team. They're separated, working as individuals. Rao gets flanked by Aviv, who gets flanked by somebody else. But if you look up, Acorn has done just enough. Exactly what you were talking about. They expended every material until they were fresh out, going up against Acorn, who's not slow in his roll. He's ready to fight. He knows the med miss smoke is a sign of weakness, but he bites off more than he can chew. He's going to go down, but Poyo's by himself. 1v3 situation, and he meets that same fate monster.
Unfortunately, misses the tag that matters. Aviv, Rise, and G Money managed to survive the onslaught with no mats. And in the end, Core, Org, and Preston on the low ground, hearing it all go down. Also, no material. This is just going to be a full-on clash here of a 3v3. And then there's one lurking nearby. Could be Ralph, who's playing the zone. That big tag from him kind of in the mix here. Yeah, he's found himself in the mid-ground. Hey, he's got material for everyone else here, though. He seems like he misforms up to the top, so keeping things interesting. There goes the delivery. Aviv comes around, using that misform to get up above. I like the edit, and it's just chaos in the low ground, but Aviv is fired up, and well played for them. They secure the dub.
Smooth walking across that finish line. They had high ground, and even with Acorn contesting them when they were out of materials, they gave it up together. They played as a team, and eventually Acorn Poyo got separated. They fell, and then the rest was theirs from the taking, and some big plays by Aviv at the end. Even might not have picked up the most eliminations, but the damage he dealt was a huge difference maker for them.
Definitely was. And, you know, I was looking at the material counts for G Money, Rise, and Aviv, and I'm like, wait a second, two of them have nothing, but it seemed like they funneled everything into Aviv. So Aviv kind of was the win condition at one point, but look at the kickoff there. G Money really opening up this battle, getting that initial elimination, allowing Aviv to go ahead and finish up the job. Well played for them, and Victory Royale for Aviv, G Money, and Rise send them straight to Grand Finals. Zeke, that was match number 4.
The big cheese of Eve, G Money and Rise going straight through to Grand Finals. You love to see it. Also, that bird form, the kind of drop down shot, bird form back up, pop back out, drop down shot. Okay, all right. That's the swaggiest thing I think I've seen today. That's it.
No, I swore that Alfred Hitchcock is writing this script right now because it's just birds everywhere. But obviously, we all knew that Aviv, G Money, and Rise were going to be coming out going into the grand finals because these first 3 games, they have just performed so well. They got a 5th, a 2nd, and a 3rd. And what better way to round out their day than getting that victory royale on height that we've seen them kind of testing the waters a little bit, but finally confidently grabbing that height and just running away with it, Vivid.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to the Kinstad that we got to see come through that game as well, right? It's like, oh, you know, Rise, Aviv, and G Money could be the first team to get top 5 in all 5 of the group games. And yeah, that's right there is why it's so hard for a team to actually kind of do that. Because if you're good enough to get top 5 in 5 of the games, then you're probably good enough to go ahead and win one as well, right? So, of course, Rise, G Money, and Aviv winning. They're not going to be playing match number 5. Can't get top 5 in all 5 games if you can't play all 5. But yeah, I mean, incredible stuff for them. And, you know, we'll see it in a little bit here, but the leaderboard effects of one of those very, very consistent teams winning a game shuffles things up.
That's right, Vivid, and we'll see that after this short break. With only 1 game left to go, and now a top-performing team making it through on a Victory Royale. What does that mean? Well, stay tuned, and you'll find out. Man, this is it. The last game of group number 1. How did we get here? Let's just, you know what? Just gonna wipe everything. We're gonna start over. All right, this is now game 1. A good thing I don't have the power to do that. Game number 5 is right around the corner, but we wanted to just highlight a couple things from game number 4. Maybe you just missed it, but Aviv got himself the Victory Royale. G Money, Rise, we'll see that trio heading straight through to grand finals not too long from now. But there's a couple, well, there's one last trio that hasn't got a VR that, you know, they're still performing the way we'd expect to perform. I guess, will we see Ager's, Acorn, and Pollo get a VR in game number 5? What do you guys think?
You know what's so funny is that during rehearsal, we even joked about them not going for the win for any of these games just to get a little bit more practice in. And I don't know, you know, it seems like that. I don't want to claim that that's exactly what they're doing, but they seem to be in so many potential positions to go for this, you know, advantageous spot. And then they kind of just go for the W key. They go for the aggro. They want to go for the eliminations, regardless of what we've seen them play before in Majors 1 and 2, where they're so smart with their height takes. It kind of just seems like they are, once again, testing the waters. They're kind of feeling out the rest of the lobby. And this might be a good way for them to kind of judge how the grand finals are going to play out a little bit.
Yeah, I actually, I've got a little bit of a challenge for this trio here. A little bit of extra credit, if you will, right? Game number 1, 17 eliminations. Game number 3, 18 eliminations. Game number 4, 19 eliminations.
Oh my god.
So, Zeke, what do you think it is that I want in game number 5 from this trio?
Okay, hear me out. We
Don't make
go
it
ahead and get
complicated
96 eliminations and the Victory Royale. In all seriousness, though, I am curious because, obviously, remember, so the 5 trios who get a Victory Royale, they go through to the grand finals, okay? So then we want to be basically in the top 10 of this leaderboard, which is effectively our top 5, okay? So with them being at the top so far away, they're definitely secured themselves a spot.
You sure?
There's just no way, right? They're not falling out. But if they were to get a Victory Royale in this next game, I feel like that's kind of pulled the leaderboard up. And I would like to see that, right? Because that kind of gives more people opportunity to fight for that top 5. You know, especially as we kind of start to flip on over to effectively what is that bubble, so to speak, right? I mean, it's only a point between 10 and 11th, right? It's 131 to 130. So there's some kind of interesting back and forth there. So I feel like it's probably most beneficial that they get the VR here, right? That would probably be the best for the lobby.
I think honestly, regardless, they're gonna win. So they either take that VR spot or they take that top 5 spot. I don't think that's actually gonna affect the lobby too much more. But I do think if you look at this second page, we have so many teams that are within that contention of getting top 10 right now. Violet, TK, and Larson that sit in top 10 are just 130 points, and we know that a Victory Royale, or even not even a Victory Royale, but a top 7 with a handful of eliminations, can just shoot you up the leaderboard. And we have some big names here. We have teams like Day, Jack, and Boji, Sandman 20 and Northern, Power Blue and Xanda, Liam, all of these huge teams that are within that precipice of making it into that top 10. I don't think, honestly, that Ager's, Acorn, and Pollo have any influence on what's going to go on. They're literally double of second place through placement right now. I think regardless of what they do, the rest of the lobby is just focusing on themselves.
Yeah, of course, Acorn, Agers, and Play.
With a whole nother team, they're separated working as individuals. Rao gets flanked by Aviv, who gets flanked by somebody else. But if you look up, Acorn has done just enough. Exactly what
Aviv, G Money, and Rise going straight through to grand finals. You love to see it. Also, that bird form, the kind of drop down shot, bird form back up, pop back out, drop down shot. Okay, all right. That's the swaggiest thing I think I've seen today.